Welcome everybody to Paranormal Chop Shop. And Lewis is right here with me, and we can hear him and see him. Lewis.
That's me.
I got Cappy with me in the shop.
What's up, everybody?
And
Nice to meet you, Cappy.
Nice meeting you too, Lewis.
We're going to talk some stories today. I think he's got a story about how do you say it, a bruja?
That's what nobody really, other people called her that, but she didn't call herself that.
And then we also got another guest backstage. I think I'm going to bring him in right now. We got Chad Smith back here, the one and only infamous Chad Smith.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Chad
Man, I can hear you good, Chad.
Good. That was the goal.
Right
He's got a Cadillac for a mic. Look at that thing.
Man, Lewis, you're upgrading too, man. You sound really good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, my dog got a hold of the little microphone piece and chewed it up, but it's still working. So.
Oh.
Chad.
Yeah.
Go ahead and introduce yourself, man.
Well, I'm Chad Smith, and let's see. Introduce myself. I'm from the. I'm the real Chad. I'm the real
infamous
Chad Smith from Spaced Out Radio.
Could be Chad Smith. It says it on my shirt.
Yeah, I got one that says that too, actually.
Oh man! Now no one's gonna know.
Mine looks like I used a Sharpie to put it on there, but it was printed that way.
And Chad, this is Cappy.
What's up, man? Nice to meet you.
And
Cappy, nice to meet you, dude.
He's got a story about a bruja. Have you ever heard of that before?
No, I haven't.
No?
So I'm excited to hear about that.
It's like
a witch.
It's like a witch. Yeah.
Okay.
Tell us, Lewis. You heard of it, Lewis?
Yeah, bruja is a Spanish for witch.
Okay.
It's kind of, I've heard a little bit about it. That's more into different, that gets into, what is that word called? Like, I forgot what it's called. Like when people do santeria and stuff like that, right?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, yeah. That was right on point right there.
That's cool.
So,
I'm
man,
interested to hear about that.
Yeah, I'm really wanting to hear about that story. We should get right into it.
Let's go ahead. I'm just gonna bring him in and let him tell it.
Probably, 10, 11 years ago, me and a couple of buddies were living together in a double wide trailer. We were friends from high school. We were having a great time. 23, 24-year-old guys all living together, partying, drinking a lot. And we had weird shit just happening around. Can I say that?
Yeah, you can say that.
All right, we had weird stuff happening around the house. Like we'd go outside, we'd come back in, and there'd be cupboards open and just weird stuff. And we had talked about, oh man, we think this place is haunted, this and that. Well, one of the homies' girlfriends, I think they're married now, but she was a local. I wouldn't call her. I mean, I call her a bruja. They called her a bruja, but nobody else. Like she had made homemade medicine and potions and shit like that for people around the neighborhoods. She was psychic per se. Like we had a friend that died and she would tell us, oh, he's here. He's watching you. He comes in, he says hi. He misses you, but he tells you not to be sad and stuff like that. So we invited him and her over to the house to tell us whether or not it was, we had spirit there or whatever. So they get there and she walks around and we're all drinking beer, having a good time. And she says, there's something here, but it's not a spirit. It's an energy and you created it, pointing at me. And in my head, I go, man, you're crazy. Like I'm telling to myself, she's crazy. She doesn't know what she's talking about. And she goes, its name is Billy. And it's funny because I think it was kindergarten, for some reason, I don't know why, I changed my name to Billy. Started signing all of my papers, my drawings and stuff, Billy. And so I thought back to that, and it just made me laugh a little bit. But then she starts telling me stuff about me, like it's been following you. It's very what was the word she used? Intrigued. She said it's very intrigued by you. And I go, that's bullshit. And right as soon as I thought that in my head, she goes, it's not bullshit, Cap. And I looked at her kind of sideways and she smiled. And in my head, I said, get out of my fucking head, bitch. And pardon my French, but I said that in my head.
All right.
And she says, she tells me vocally now, I can only be in your head if you allow me. And so I left, and that was my experience with the Bruja.
So it's kind of like witchcraft, kind of, but psychic at the same time. Kind of like she can actually read minds, or
That was my takeaway from it, that she could be inside my head and hearing what I thought. But I knew a bunch of friends that had used her to talk to dead loved ones. It was I don't know. She talked with spirits, and she was a kind of an aura reader, and for the older Mexican women, she would make medicinal stuff. I call them potions just because I don't know no better, but that was what she did. And as far as I know,
she was more like a medium, pretty much like a Mexican medium lady.
yeah, very, very much so.
Well, that's cool, man.
Yeah, she was a cool chick.
Yeah, kind of, you got to be careful with that side of the, they cross the other side.
Right.
It's kind of, it's like The Conjuring, I don't know if you ever seen them movies,
Oh, no, I haven't seen that, but I got scared that my hair was going to fall out or something.
That's crazy that you were Billy, man. Billy reached out to you. Maybe he was intrigued by you for real,
And that's what she said. And it was a trip just because, like, there had been some weird stuff happening and stuff like that. And then she told me, she goes, no, it's an energy that was created by you. Its name is Billy. And then I thought back about it, and I had, like, in kindergarten, I changed my name to Billy for like a week. Signed everything Billy.
Maybe that was your imaginary friend reaching out to you
right,
when you were younger,
Right.
Yeah, I mean, wow, there's other dimensions out there, that we don't see, Human eye can only see a certain amount, Imagine we could see everything that was around us, we could only, like your retina could only see so much, I mean, we probably go crazy if we could see what's in every other dimension that, that we
I was
can't
just
see.
thinking that. I was just thinking that it could have been him from a different dimension, like just with a different name.
Could have been all kinds of things. Could have been you, like in a past life. Your name was Billy,
Right.
Yep.
Maybe you're a white boy Billy from Wisconsin or something. You never know. So, man, yeah. Any questions from Chad?
Man, I was trying to think of some questions, but it's just a really cool story. It's
Yeah, tell us more.
I could hear
Cappy.
20 more like that.
Oh, man.
Give it to him.
I don't know. I could probably come up with something, but I'd have to think for a little bit. I mean,
yeah. What about the UFO when you told me about? You said you were going to talk.
That was, no, Amanda had a UFO experience, but it was with Bill.
Oh, yeah.
That was the one when they were coming back from the Sacramento.
Yeah, that's right. When it split off into two pieces.
Mhm.
Yep, we talked about that.
No, that's a lie. I have seen something. Right here in Easton. It was me and two friends when we were going into a gas station. And as we're walking in, there's this guy, and he's just staring at the sky like this, just staring at it. And we both kind of look, and we look back, and we look, and what are you looking at? And he goes, look, right there. There's 3 dots. And this was summer, so it was a clear day, probably like 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon. And if you look, there were 3 dots that were the same color as the sky. But the bottom dot, it was like a triangle. The bottom dot had smaller dots coming out of it and then circling around like this. And it was crazy because it looked like they were the same color as the sky, blue. And you could only see them if you really knew where to look and really paid attention. But that was pretty crazy. I don't know. That's my one UFO experience.
When was that? How long ago was that?
About the same time as the Bruja, maybe 10, 11 years.
She done opened a whole can of
Right.
worms for you, huh?
Yeah.
Right?
So about that Bruja, did you meet her a lot? Did you get any potions from her? Did you?
No, I never got anything like that. She was a friend of my homeboy's family, and then I think she ended up getting married to the guy, another friend. And so she was just kind of in and out. Like, I probably met her 12, 13 times. Really cool chick, but definitely had a sense about her, like more than meets the eye.
Did he know that she was a witch?
Yeah.
The guy that married her?
Yeah.
Oh, hell no. Man, she'll bury your shorts in the yard. You won't be able to leave the
Right.
house.
Right. You better be good. You better be good.
Yeah, you better be good. I watched the show one day with my girl, and I see some about witches. I'm gonna have to look up that later. But yeah, that's that all started back in the African days. Like African people would do witchcraft and stuff like that. Like like it's crazy how like it's all about certain things and make certain potions, and it's crazy like how deep you get into that. Like I never really got into it because that's some scary shit right there, man. You can try to deal with that. Like
It's funny. Every nationality has their own witchcraft, like their own, what they call it, Santeria, voodoo, everything like that. But it all kind of focuses back to the same thing: lunar cycles and giving up energy.
Yeah. You ever hear about the guys that were going around tomb raiding? They were stealing stuff from actually like veterans and stuff, because veterans are heroes. So they would use that, to do their offerings and all that to protect them, because they were actually they were heroes that were strong. So they would have these skulls and bones and use them to protect them from bad spirits and evil stuff around them. It's like, it gets really deep when it comes to that. You gotta, then people, they're nice, but they'll cross you quick, man, if you do something wrong. You wake up and your head shrunk like Beetlejuice, Yeah.
You
What
carry
you sipping on over there, man?
Bud Light and Jim Beam.
Oh man, that's some.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, he drinks the rough stuff.
Protects me from brujas.
I'm still drinking my coffee. I got to warm up still.
Oh yeah, this guy's a vampire. He works night shift. I
Yeah.
actually worked last night.
What do you think about that? UFO Garage sticker on the coffee mug.
For the boys right there, man.
Yeah, I see Will's on. 50 Divine's on. What's up, buddy? How you doing, man? He's doing good.
509. Yeah, he said he wanted to get on if we get bored later on, need some more stuff to talk about. He's like, I'll get on there.
Yeah, we're here to talk, man. It doesn't matter. That's why it's called a chop shop, Little parts from all over the place. Put one thing together,
That's right. I like that name. That name's awesome. Whoever came up with that one.
Yeah. I know. Who did come up with it? Because it sure wasn't me.
Well, that was Ben and Big Willy. Maybe Joe threw something in there. And me shooting stuff back and forth. Ben said, either take garage out of your name or catch 5 of these across your lips.
Yeah, I would think so, So what?
No, he didn't say that, guys. We just started talking about it because we never really named it. Me and Lewis came up with that name. Lewis came up with the Coast to Coast, and I was like, man, I don't know. I don't want our belt coming back hot.
Yeah, there's so much with that. It was just something that came up. I freestyled off my head that day. I was like, oh, let me say something.
And then one day, Ben had mentioned, there's the name of your show, and I said, this is my garage. So all I had was Sonny's Garage on there. That was it. That sounded stupid. So Lewis came up with that. Like, dude, that's way better to put on there than Sonny's Garage.
Sonny's Garage. It sounded like an old car dealership, man. Like old car dealer. Say, come get your car from Sonny's Garage. I'll tell you what, I got something for you. No,
0% APR.
Yeah.
Zero money down, 0% APR.
That's
so,
right.
Cappy, what do you do for fun, man?
I don't know, man. Lately, I've been working way too much to have fun. But I don't know, little mischievous shit here and there, I guess.
Oh hell!
But hey guys, and there's another guest backstage. Let's bring him in and see if he's got any questions for Cat.
All right, bring him in.
Welcome, Big Willy.
Alexa, turn off. Sorry, boys. Sorry. What's shaking, gentlemen?
What's going on, dude?
What's happening? Sorry, I'm late. I'm late.
You are late.
I know, I got kids. There's so many kids.
You got excuses.
I really do. I mean, they're legitimate excuses, but they're definitely excuses. Lewis knows what's up.
Excuses. Yeah, I know. I just got on like an 854 homework and all kinds of crazy stuff. It was going, but I got in.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, you just got me thinking about homework, and I was like, I'm not gonna lie, my son bringing home homework. I'm so excited when I'm like, buddy, you got homework, and he's like, no. I'm like, yes. There's no like, and it's only like it's so minute. He's in kindergarten, but still, I'm like, yeah, no homework today, suckers. We ain't got.
You don't have homework. I don't have.
I don't
homework.
have homework. But to give him credit, he's doing really good. Like he gets on it. He does it himself. He like way more commendable in his academia in kindergarten than I was. That's for sure. I was like throwing crap at bugs and doing stupid stuff in the yard versus like he's like just practicing writing out his own alphabet and letters and numbers. I'm like, good for you, buddy. Keep at it.
Wait till they bring something home and you're like, what the hell is this? And they want you to help them with it, and you're like, I don't know. I know 2 + 2 is 4. Like all this new math and all this. It's like. Like, I don't understand it. It is so difficult how they're teaching the kids nowadays. It's so confusing,
What's the old saying too, right?
What is that?
I was just gonna say, what's the old saying? Like, there's like 6 half a dozen ways to skin a cat. So to me, whatever the shortest solution is what I would prefer. But also like whatever works for you. I mean, I
it's
don't
not
think
even like that. Now it's like. Will's got 5 oranges, but Sonny was over there plucking his flowers at 5 o'clock in the morning while Cappy was working on his car. What time did Chad Smith shave his nuts?
Brought to you by Manscaped.
Yes. I mean, but yeah, it's you'll see. But
I didn't even say I feel like I came in all rude. I didn't even say, hi, welcome, thank you for having me, guys. What's shaking? I just came in like, stupid mother trucking kindergarten homework, let me tell you boys.
For y'all don't know, this is Big Willy. He is from, actually, Bob, Band of Bearded Brothers. Now he started his own stuff, too, on the side, his little side hustle. It's called Big Willy at Ufo Garage, so check him out. He's doing his thing.
Yeah.
He's multitasking. He's got an old lady to take care of. He's got kids, He's got a manscape, He's got work. He's doing good,
Only thing I got to correct you on, the wife is taking care of me. I am definitely her 4th child. That is confirmed. I've got to give her credit on that one. I'm definitely not taking care of her. I think she'd be totally fine without me.
A lot of people think they could do it without a woman, man, but that's how they were given to us sometime, Like a guy tells you, I could be by myself, I've done it, I'm like, whatever, screw y'all women, but then, you get lonely, man, Imagine, look at Tom Hanks with his ball, I mean, think about it, you go crazy.
Dude, it took me a second to make the connection. It really did. I was like, wait a second, what happened to Tom Hanks?
Look at Tom Hanks in his ball, man.
Yeah, I didn't want to say castaway, but yeah.
Was that on here when I talked? Was it? Oh man, crap. Now I'm drawing a blank. I know I was drunk the night I talked about it, which I am drinking tonight for sure. Speaking of that, I'm cracking another one, boys. Oh crap, I can't get
Everyone else is drinking.
What are we drinking tonight? What do we got going on that way?
Vodka and cranberry.
Ooh, can't go wrong with that. Solid option. What about yourself, Lewis?
I decided to drink 1 beer, and I got me a Mike's Harder Lemonade.
Oh, nice. I almost grabbed the mics.
Yeah. It's not bad. The blood orange is pretty good.
Nice.
Big Willy.
I see the Chad Smith shirt. Nice.
Actually, I wore this shirt to represent Sonny. Look. California.
That's cool.
I got to tell you,
The Grizzlies are fair, and we hunted them to extinction.
I know.
That is true. It's so funny. They're like your guys' mascot for everything there, and it had been wiped out.
I know.
Virtually wiped out. I've heard rumors of like occasionally one drifting here and there, but I don't know how true that is. I'm not there, obviously. So
No, there's none. There's none.
What's your mascot in Michigan?
The Wolverine, baby.
The Wolverine.
Michigan Wolverines, which we also hunted to extinction. But they are starting to make a comeback, especially in the UP. They naturally, there were some that survived they didn't think they had. And so there are some natural ones that have managed to survive. They all virtually got wiped out in the late 1800s. I think early 1900s there might have been a couple of, but yeah, man, a Wolverine, they're nasty buggers. They're dangerous. So like, I'm not saying it was a good thing they got wiped out, but they are pretty nasty. So
we've got wolves back now. We got wolves back, and now we're getting Wolverines back.
We 100%. Oh, Chad, yeah, you're here, so you would know. Did you see how
right down the road, man?
I know we're literally neighbors. They don't even know, but like we actually hang out when we're done doing these. We just like come out to the fence. We share a beer. That's how we met. We airdropped those wolves in to kill moose. Did you see that?
No, I did not.
My brother and I covered it one time. They literally airdropped in some gray with some wolves. It's basically in Canada. Oh, 100%. Literally parachuted these mother truckers in there to hunt the moose population because the moose were overpopulating the area. They were eating up all the greenery, and they were going to basically wipe themselves out.
Okay, so
they brought in.
These are para-wolfers. Right?
100%. This is Paw Patrol on steroids. I'm going to tell you right now.
Okay, so how did the parachute come off once they landed? That's what I want to know.
I think, to be fair, they parachuted them in like a metal cage shoot.
I was wondering this wolf with like goggles and like playing like G.I. Joe music and getting ready to kill some freaking moose.
Yeah, he jumped out of the helicopter and was like, yee, let's go. Let's
Can you imagine one of those boxes landing in your camp?
No. Those suckers have some weight. Yeah. So, yeah, it's kind of crazy. We have a natural wolf population back here again, and then the Wolverines have made a comeback, and we do have the black bear population, which never really went extinct, but they made quite a comeback in the UP. They're pretty tiny, though, and they're not very bad. I mean, I still wouldn't want to mess with them, but in relation to other bears around the region in the United States, certainly they're babies. They're not very big at all.
See, our animal here in Florida it's not the gator, it's not the damn alligators. It's actually it's the panther, and I've seen one time, and it's pretty scary,
Oh, I didn't realize you guys had the chat going. Sorry about that. Yeah, who else? I didn't even. Yeah. Oh yeah, Black Dragon in here. Chad Smith's in here. Look at that. He's in the chat too, guys.
That's
Chad Smith in the chat.
That's Chad Smith Square. To the second power.
That's my alter ego, Chad Smith.
Yeah. You're not a Gemini, are you?
Taurus.
Oh fuck. Go ahead, Will. You got a question?
No, I was just going to say thank you for having me on. I apologize for being late. I know you guys had a guest here today. I apologize, Sonny. I totally missed your cousin's name. What was your name, brother? I'm sorry about that.
I'm Cappy.
Cappy. Okay, perfect. So welcome. This is, he probably let you know what's up, but like we just come in and hang out. Like this is cool to actually have like the Paranormal Chop Shop, dude. I'm telling you, it's definitely starting to grow on me. I'm definitely feeling it. So I think it's right up your guys' alley with what you guys do. And
I just got to talk about the chop shop.
Yeah.
Cappy was talking about witches and stuff. You know anything about that, Will? He was talking about brujas. They're called that in Spanish, which is like, like voodoo, witchcraft, stuff like that. But he's actually met one before, And
right on.
You got any information on that? Yeah. You know anything about that, Will?
No, not.
You look like a warlock with that beard,
So here's the deal with warlocks. That's the only piece of information I know. Okay, and I learned this from Lynn Wallington, right, over the Spaced Out Radio. So I heard like in passing the term warlock, right? And that's been more of a Hollywood term that's been, I guess, put on a pedestal over the years because realistically, from my understanding, and if there's any genuine witches out there, let me know. I apologize. I'm not trying to offend anybody here, but from my understanding, most respectable witches, male or female, just go by the term witch. There's no warlock. When you're a warlock, apparently there's one that lives out by Lynn that's out there on the East Coast there, and they're very like theatrical, and they go around in a big cape, and they're very like, I am a warlock and I am here to, like that level of, you know what I mean, like a little bit of like televised like kind of feeling.
Carrying a portable Dungeons and Dragons game in his pocket.
Well, the trucker, I play Dungeons and Dragons. Okay,
I know that's why I said that.
Look at that. I have stacks of books over here. I just got into it like this past year, and I went really far. I didn't plan on going that far, and I went really deep. But yeah, as far as witches, so I have met those that have said they are a witch. I feel like everything over the past, and it's cool that everything's becoming super open and we're all talking about it now more, but I feel like there's a lot of people that paved some roadways for us, and we're kind of all standing on the shoulders of a lot of giants. And so there are those that are openly admitting they're witches now, and maybe they are, and I don't know, but it seems like there's been a following of that for a long time. It's never really gone away. And the originals, as it were, really practiced understanding the meaning behind everything. So whether it be their sage or whatever their thing is, and why the ritual exists in the first place. So for me, that's all I've been learning about it more. I always had the understanding simply because I did have some supposedly like great grandmother and stuff that was like a full on practicing witch from Ireland and stuff. And there was that background story, but because everybody got super religious in my family, that like got buried. That was like one of the bones in the closet that nobody wanted to talk about. Is that we like, oh yeah, grandma was like a full on practicing witch. But the one thing I would say is that the witch of Hollywood, which unfortunately that's what we always hit it on Bob a lot, is that perception of the mainstream media in Hollywood really tweaking and twisting, and sometimes really, I'd say, mutilating the reality of what things are, has really twisted the idea of what a witch or I guess if you want to go with warlock is. And, from my understanding, a little bit of research I did, the original witches were people that were basically your medicine person. They were someone who had a great understanding. And there's different levels. Like you can have someone they're more based in alchemy and things of that nature. As far as like medical, there are those that, yes, their specialty is more of, I say, casting or attaching something. And again, this is where I don't know enough about it, but that you can have like those that are more of a Luciferian practicing witch. You can have those that are more elemental practicing witch, nature practicing witch. So there's a lot to it like I don't understand, but originally those people were more into that and in tune with the earth. And that's where people, it always makes me wonder if like with the Catholic Church, a lot of those witch hunts that literally went on, if it was all back to money again. So like I feel like I make everything a conspiracy, but it feels like there was these practices in place that they said, hey, these herbs could actually help. And that is a lot of what a witch did. And then it got altered into, well, if somebody's going there, they're making these cures, they're making deals with the devil. And it's, I can't speak directly to it because I'm not there. Maybe some of those people were. I don't know. I'm not ruling that out at all. But that is the extent of everything I know. That is like it. Cool stuff I learned from Joe and Ben and Lynn, like witches in the tall pointy hats. That was just because they sold beer, and that was the easiest way to spot them in a crowd. Like that's where that urban legend came in from. Other than that, I got nothing, man. I mean, I'm open to whatever, and I always enjoy hearing the stories. I'm not nearly as closed off to it as I used to be. I mean, like I said, I grew up really religious, so like people, we were not allowed to even talk about the idea that Harry Potter existed, let alone watch or read it. So we were pretty sheltered that way. And I don't think, like anything, I view everything as a tool, and it's all about how we utilize it. So I'm gonna shut up now because I've been rambling too long. This is what happens when I start drinking, guys. Sorry.
All right.
Shut me down. Shut me down. I'm gonna mute my mic. Here you tapping out.
He heard you guys talking about Wolverine. He's a Wolverine hunter.
Oh yeah, he said. What about
Wolverine?
Cool dog.
Yeah,
that's a cute
So,
puppy
like,
right there.
Since we were talking about witches, I was like, okay, witches and broom. I started to think about what was the resemblance. So I kind of I've never knew, so I kind of Googled it, and it says find witches linked to pagan ritual. Anthropologist Robin Skelton suggests that the association between witches and brooms may have roots in the pagan fertility ritual, in which rural farmers would leap and dance astride poles, pitchforks, or brooms in the light of the full moon to encourage the growth of their crops. So I guess they would just.
What kind of crops are they encouraging the growth of, huh? I've given a pep talk in my lifetime. I'm not gonna lie. Come on, what are we saying here? What kind of encouragement? What kind of stocks are we trying to raise here? What are we talking about?
I mean, I don't know what kind of, the devil's lettuce. That's why they call it the devil's lettuce.
It's better than the devil's dandruff.
Oh man, yeah, that stuff will get you, huh? That stuff will that'll hit you right in the boo boo, man. You don't want to do that. Walk around. I think that's why my bike became missing here in my freaking back porch. I'm like, they took the only good bike that was back here. I'm like, damn, why they took the good bike? Oh yeah, crackhead.
Was it? Okay. Was it the first show, Lewis, when you were driving around looking for signal and you went to that gas station and someone jacked that bottle for his weed? That's
yeah. Yeah, it ain't. I live, where I live, it's near Disney World, but it's, there's always bad people around. It's just the way it is. You could live. I don't know. You could live in the nicest area in the world. There's always going to be a meth head.
That's how it is that's how it is at Disneyland here in California. You better go from there to your fucking hotel room. They got a bridge that walks you straight across to it. And then they rent you little buggies. You could drive over there, like the little rascal carts. Everybody rents those. Everyone that stays in that hotel's got one. Yeah, so you can get away.
Nice.
You can get away.
So a different note, that video that you put up, Sonny, that was pretty cool, man. Them freaking helicopters and them planes.
Oh, the
that
shop?
Was pretty...
That was a
Yeah, man. What was that?
I'm supposed to be out there right now. I took all the trailers out there. My wife's out there. The kids are out there. Everyone's out there racing. But I came back to do the show, and then I'll head out there after.
And
Hey, that's dedication right there.
That's where
cool,
they
man.
filmed the Indiana Jones and the Crystal.
Where?
You should have an affordable show out there next time.
Hey, listen to this mess. Okay.
You didn't know
Now,
that?
I have been going out to Eagle Field now for I don't know how many years, over 10 years, somewhere around there. This guy just tells me, did you know that's where they filmed Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull?
What?
No idea.
Oh,
Yeah, that's where they filmed. So I'm going to be asking. I know the owner and stuff. I'll ask him. But how tell me.
In Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull, when they fly into Mexico, I think it's just one quick scene where they fly in and it's Mexican airport. That's Eagle Field. I worked security out there when they were doing that.
Oh, shit.
That's
No, I
awesome.
swear to you. It was cool. It was like 4 days of really easy work, and then they had a set wrap party, and I got to meet George Lucas. I got to meet
Ford.
Sean, and I got to meet Harrison Ford.
Wow.
Oh,
Dang.
man, that's cool to meet people like that.
When I
man.
say meet, I got to shake their hands and say, "Man, it's
It
really
doesn't
cool."
matter,
Captain of the Millennium Falcon, man. You got to meet him.
Right.
That is awesome, dude. I
That
didn't
was-
even
that was
know.
Pretty
That
cool.
is cool.
That's almost like touching his dick without touching him. It's as close as you
Right,
can get.
right.
Right? You touched his hand, which I'm just,
Right.
Even if it's just a hand he wipes with, you at least touched his ass.
That would be weird if that's the way. Instead of shaking hands, you shake weeders. How you doing,
No.
sir?
Oh, that would be strange.
I do have to ask
It's so
You
awkward.
start doing a helicopter, it'd be like wagging your tail.
So, Cappy, I just have to ask though, because I've heard rumors about Harrison Ford being like really awkward with handshakes. Was it weird, or did he keep it together and like was a normal handshake?
No,
Or
it was like he had a bunch of shit going on, and I kind of just like walked up and said, "Hey, nice to meet you," and shook his hand.
nice?
I don't know. It was a once in a lifetime deal where I'm not gonna get to see this guy again, so I'm
Right.
gonna push up on him and make him shake my hand.
Yeah, put the dick beater right there. Let's put it.
That's a pretty interesting. That's pretty interesting. What 509 said. He said that Indiana Jones is 70% based on real historical data. I never knew that. I thought it was just somebody wrote a movie. That's pretty
Really?
cool. Yeah,
Jim, I'm
Man,
telling you, that guy is full of facts.
that
He's
guy's
got-
got knowledge, man.
Who's the comedian, the older comedian, Jerry Lewis? Is that him?
Yes,
Jerry Lee Lewis?
Jerry Lewis.
No, sorry, different
Yeah.
person. Yeah, Jerry Lee Lewis played the piano. Sorry, different.
Yep, Jerry Lewis, the comedian, with Dean Martin and those guys.
The telephone.
Mhm.
His son comes out to Eagle Field, and yeah, he's got a special spot where he stays out there. I think the owner and him are friends or something like that, and yeah, I guess he goes out there, but I've never met him. I've never met him. I know he goes out there, I guess, but I guess to shoot guns and stuff. It's a good place to go, man. It's so big out there. That's why in the video I told you I'll have to do the rest from the truck. Couldn't walk around all that, and then there's still miles of that place around there.
Yeah. I just like the whole airplane stuff. Where I work, I know you guys know where I work. I'm not even gonna mention it no more. But I see some. I'm not even, which is like I just sometimes
Check out
I
the
just wanna
episode,
get
the first
fired,
episode.
Yeah. But yeah. So man, so Will, how's the weather up there? I want to know because It's muggy as hell out here on Florida, man. I'm fucking sweating my balls in my couch.
I told you our screen went black.
We're like in a weird spot right now where it's really hot. So during the day it'll get, well, I say really hot, not hot compared to you guys, but like we'll hit push in the 80s. I feel like, at least where I'm at, like getting up there. But then at night it's beautiful. Like it can drop down into the upper 40s. So I'm like, I got the window open. It's comfortable, and I don't know how. What do you think? That's about accurate for where you're at, Chad? Give or take.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the sky's been pretty dark too. Every time I go check out the sky at night,
yeah,
it's super dark. It's nice to see the stars again.
Right now, Willie, I leaned over and whispered something to Cap.
yeah.
And our screen shut off.
They're watching.
What do you guys got me in here? What do you guys
me.
got me doing here?
You guys didn't even hear me. I leaned over and whispered it to him.
I saw that.
Just mine and his screen shut the hell off.
Oh man.
What do you got me involved with here?
I know you're hanging out with some thugs now.
This is a different kind of podcast right here.
Yeah,
That's true. Dude, I was telling Sonny, I was like, if you're not putting stuff on YouTube, that's the beauty of podcasting. I mean, granted, it's got its own battles and we're fighting and whatever, but you can still go pretty hard on a podcast and put it up. I mean, as long as you put that warning on there and you click yes, it's explicit and whatever else, you're pretty open to be able to talk about whatever. So a little different than when you got a syndicated broadcast,
Yes. That's a nice mic you got
definitely
there.
Who?
Yeah, Chad. Look, it's about as big as his face.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about this thing. I might have to get a smaller one like Willie's got there.
Yeah, you can't be covering the moneymaker, man.
All right, yeah.
I know this one, it does get in the way. Like even with this one, I got like the little fuzzy piece on there, and then there's like a little, I don't know if I can do this. It's gonna be loud, but I'll mute it. But there's a little metal piece. I'll flip it around for you.
This one definitely pops if this isn't here. Like, oh,
Is that a helmet on top of your microphone?
Oh, did I not have myself muted when I did that? Dang it. Yes, this is for when we were playing Dungeons and Dragons. I might have gotten a little carried away at one point, and I thought I was going to go really hard, and I did it. And now it's more of just a decorative piece, and it was based off this one character I created named Bjorn Beaton, and he hailed from the clan of these Nutsa. And
that's your role playing name, right?
these nuts up.
Yeah. I did like I would.
I thought you played Dungeons and Dragons on a board with some dice.
Oh no, you can play virtual.
Oh wow! So you got to explain more to me, man.
Yeah. Explain that.
So you wear that helmet?
No, I didn't wear the helmet, but it's kind of like what one of my characters wears. So it ended up being like this piece that just sat here, and then it helps cover up some of the crap I have going on with this mic. So it's just something that throws it off. It contrasts. I got the flag and everything. So I was like, I'll just leave that sucker up there.
I thought maybe that was awesome. I thought that was either for battle or bedroom fun or something.
Throw on the horns.
You're like, hey, baby, I'm coming in.
Speaking of that, what are your predictions for this? I mean, we got the Lions versus the Chicago Bears this Sunday. We know Sonny's a Chicago Bears fan living in California, ladies and gentlemen. We got to call him out on it. I mean, look at he's got it on. You know what? Being a Bears fan, though, that's solid. I mean, as much as I dislike them, for whatever, I hate the Packers more than the Bears. But
hey,
being a Lions fan's rough. I'm just saying.
I was about to say you guys are cursed.
It prepared me for life.
Okay, Bo, we're just getting better since we got Khalil Mack. Khalil Mack, man, you guys better be scared.
Yeah.
What about my team, the Steelers? Wow.
You need a quarterback badly.
Did you see? Hey, Ben was awesome, but he's as mobile as a tree.
Well, he's as old as one too. He's like 44 or 43 years old or something. I mean, he's for football age, he's getting up there. Brady's a different breed. Brady doesn't eat like gluten. Brady is a vegetarian, but he does commercials for Subway like he eats meat, and he doesn't eat that crap. That guy like drinks raw eggs for breakfast and only breathes in sun rays through his butthole in the morning. I mean, the guy is a different breed.
Did you see when he won the Super Bowl and he was down here in Tampa Bay and he was
He got all drunk.
yeah, he was like, whoa, they had to carry him off. He was like so drunk, like a couple of drinks, they had to carry him off the boat. He had his hat all sideways and his sunglasses all crooked. You know, he
You had 3 apple teenies.
Dude, you probably had like 3. Dude, he was partying with Gronk, and we all know Gronk. The Gronk party's hard. I don't know if anybody parties harder than the Gronk.
They were chucking the freaking the trophy across.
I do remember that.
Yeah, that
So,
was pretty cool.
Really quick, because I know Sonny had a point, and he's got a guest in tonight. We're taking away from him, but really quick, I wanted to give a shout out to Black Dragon. Yeah, so I do play. All right, I got into Dungeons and Dragons through a friend. I haven't checked out the Dungeon dudes. I've heard good things about them, but I listen to a lot of Critical Role. So that's who I was listening to mainly learn the game and just the role-playing aspect of it. And then really quick, 509 tying it back into what our topic was for the night, which is witches, right, guys? So he says Brady's wife is also a witch, and she's a supermodel. Which one is he married to now?
Isn't that
Yeah, he
ironic?
says she openly
We're talking
admits it.
about him. You see how the aura and everything came about when we started talking about witches, and this guy 709, knows about that. What? What incarnation? That is cool, man.
Turnation. Yeah, I should know her name. Isn't it something?
Gazelle something.
Yes, it is something Gazelle.
Not a gazelle. But
it's Giselle. It's Giselle something.
Yes, Gazelle.
Wasn't she a Schwarzenegger originally?
I don't know what they're talking about.
Her name's just
Giselle
Giselle
Bundchen.
Bonshen.
Oh, then no.
Giselle Bundchen.
That's okay. Interesting thing. So tying it back in, and Sonny will have your guest here tonight actually tell their story versus us, Fran and Raven over here. So a lot of people, and one of the things I've found, and I've never gone a deep dive on it, but in Hollywood or any of these super successful people do believe in the occult practice. I mean, it's something they openly admit and talk about. What's her name from the Disney show? She sings like she's got like the super high octaves she can hit. Oh my gosh, I should know this. She sings the song
Ariana Grande?
Yes, she openly talks about this. I mean, she believes she's really big on the manifestation of reality and believing in geometry and alignment of different stars and celestial beings. So, I mean, this is something that she practices, and she believes in sacred geometry. She puts in a lot of her music. Also, what's his name? Oh, the one rapper that's like, everybody thought he was going crazy for a while. He was like losing it. Kanye. He's really big on how he makes it. John Mayer makes his music in the same way. John Mayer even said that about Kanye. He said how he makes his music is magical. So there is something to these people that are super ultra uber successful that seem to align some of these practices. They've either understood that there's something about sacred geometry and the manifestation of reality, or something there. You know what I mean? I'm not saying the idea that we can just manifest the ability to fly, but there's got to be something more there. So I would be super curious though to shut up and hear Cappy's story at least and see what the bruja, to bring it back, what all the bruja's about and why we're here tonight, gentlemen. So
it was probably like 10, 11 years ago, and I was living with a few guys that I went to high school with. We were, 23, 24-year-olds, so we were partying a lot. And we just noticed some weird stuff happening. We'd go outside and we'd come back in, drawers would be open or cupboards would be open. And or we'd go outside, come back in, TV would be on when we knew it wasn't on when we went outside. And we had joked, we got a ghost living in the house. Well, we knew this chick that she was from the neighborhood. She was a friend of the family with one of my roommate's little brothers. She was about that same age, and I think we were 23-ish, and she was 21, maybe a little bit younger, but not much. But one of our good friends had just passed away, and she would come over and tell my buddy, he's, Steve is he's here right now, and he's telling you that it's going to be okay. Stop worrying and it's just stuff like that. Like, so we kind of believed her to have the ability to communicate with spirits and whatnot. So one day we brought her over to the house just to see if, we had something, living there. And she came over, her and her boyfriend, and we were all just, we were having a good time. We were drinking, and she kind of walked around the house, And she came up to me and told me, she goes, there's not a ghost here, but there is an energy, and it's something that you created. And its name is Billy, and it's very intrigued with you. And when she said that, I kind of, in my head, I said, you're full of shit, you know? And
Right.
as soon as I thought it, she responded verbally with, I'm not full of shit. It's true. And I looked at her, and in my head, I said, get out of my head, bitch. And she verbally responded to me with, I can only be in your head if you allow me to. And as soon as she said that, I left, and it freaked me out, and I took off. But she was known around the neighborhood as being a bruja. I mean, she would communicate with passed on loved ones. She would make home remedies for people. It was a service that she did. And she was a cool chick. I mean, there was nothing like, she didn't have any warts, or she was a pretty girl, and
Warts.
you know, it was
yeah,
I don't know.
herpes.
Bum bums.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Oh wait, Sonny, I think you went out.
Yeah,
What's
I left
that?
for a little bit.
Oh, there
I
you're back.
went-
You're right. Sorry,
I'm
no, you're
out.
back now.
I just moved out when he was telling the story. I just leaned back out of the way. But did I pop off screen?
No, I excuse me. I thought the audio cut out for a second. You're totally good now. I can totally hear it.
Okay.
I thought it went out for a second.
All right. Yeah, it's probably got an auto mute for when we stop talking.
Hmm.
Oh, I don't think mine does that. So that's crazy, man. I mean, I've any of you guys ever all this is about witchcraft, and I don't know if you want to involve Lucifer and the devil. I mean, any of you guys ever played with the Ouija board?
Nah.
I don't mess around with that stuff,
I
man.
only did that when I was a little kid, just because it was in the house.
Yeah.
Well,
I-
when I was 5, I
I-
pulled out my
I-
Ouija
No,
board
I
and
was
signed
like,
up.
I messed with it for. I messed with one for like a whole night with these. It was like I spent a night at this girl's house. I was like 12 or 13. It was my neighbor, and she was like, "Let's play with it." So
Oh.
Hey, 1 second. We're getting some
talk
feedback
about
from
the
Sonny.
Ouija board.
Uh-oh, from me?
Yeah, a little bit, I
I don't
think.
know.
I mean, all of us have headphones, so I think the only one it could be is
How about now?
That's better.
talk. 1, 2. Yeah, it sounds a lot better now.
Okay, so anyways, back on playing with her Ouija board.
Sorry about that.
We all know Ouija boards are code here, guys. Come on. We're not. I'm just
Actually, what it was
Playing
my
with
friend.
the Ouija.
It was my friend. His cousin came, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, she's so pretty. I want to spend the night." So it was like 11 or 12. I spent the night. I wanted to holler. But anyways, I seen. So she, everybody went to sleep. Me, her, and him. She pulled out a Ouija board. I'm like, "What the hell is this?" She's like, "You can talk to spirits." I'm like, "Get the hell out of here." So she's like, we put our hand on it. And then she starts talking, and she's like, I'm reaching out to whatever she was saying, and the thing
I'll
started
bet she
going around.
was. She was reaching out to all that wood, right? That board out there. She was making sure she was.
Trying to find the right answer. Want a cigarette?
I'm sorry. I gotta mute my man.
So
I gotta be quiet.
All hands on deck.
I know you're gonna get in trouble, man. You're gonna get freaking. Oh no. Okay. So, anyways, she reached out to this kid named. His name was. Oh my God. His name was Ben. It was a little kid named Ben, and he was young. He was like 6, 7 years old, and he had passed away, and we had reached out to him, and we didn't know. He didn't know how he had died, but he didn't know where he was either. Like, it was crazy how you spill stuff out. So we would stop and we would go do something and come back and speak to him, and we would be like, "All right, Ben, could you show us your sign, or show us it's really you?" So when he came on, he would go, and the thing would move at an 8 around the Ouija board. It would do an 8, and he was like, we would talk to him. It's just crazy. Like, it would move, and you're thinking like somebody's moving it, but I don't know. It just, the way it worked to me, I was spooked about it. So then, like, we came back the next day and did it, and we got a hold of him again. He did the 8. Then we went and ate something, came back, and we were like, "Is this Ben?" And it was like, "Yeah, show us it's you." And it did a 0. And you went around instead of doing the 8 motion. you know, and then we said, this is not Ben, you're lying. And it started spelling out hell, all kinds of crazy stuff. Like literally, I was like, this, man, I was like, I don't want to play with this no more. Like, I really spooked me. I don't know if I was real. I don't know if she was messing with us, but that shit seemed pretty legit. So we went to go to bed, and I kind of laid like, you know, near her, you know, somewhere, you know, and I laid on the floor. Yeah, well, I was 12 years old, man. Yeah. I woke up, I went to sleep, and I woke up, and the people that were in that room were not in that room at all. And I'm like, where the hell are they? They were not sleeping. And I was like, where the hell are they? So I laid down for a minute, opened my eyes again, and they were there again. It was like something that I saw. It was like a crazy experience that I saw when I was messing with the Ouija board. So I never really messed with the Ouija board again. I know that she threw it away, she said, and then she said it ended up back in her house somehow. Like, I don't know how. Have you ever heard of people that they've thrown the Ouija board and it comes back to them somehow? Like, people have experience like that. Like, yeah, I'll never touch another one
freaky,
again,
man.
I've always heard that if you burn one to try to get rid of it, it squeals and whistles at you. But
Whoa.
never tried that one out. So,
really? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Sonny. Sorry, I
I
cut
was
you
gonna
off.
say Black Dragon says witches get mislabeled and are gypsies witches. You guys think the gypsies? Do you think they're the same?
I kind of answered him in the chat, so I already gave my answer for a second there. Yeah, Chad's experiencing that autofocus. It's hard
I'm
sometimes,
gonna have
Chad.
to get rid of this camera, man.
So, no. So you just got to take off the autofocus. When you get off that later, go into your camera settings. You can change off auto set. Mine does the same thing. Okay. Sometimes what you got to do is it's on your mic, so move your mic, and all you got to do is like lean in close. It focuses on your face, and then lean back out.
So too.
Yeah, it's focusing on your mic. That's what that's better.
There you go. And then as you back out,
look at that pretty face.
There you go. Now it's focused. Now you can bring your mic back into play, and you're good.
All right, there we go.
I kind of answered him on that already. I think it's just like anything in life, and I do have a question actually to circle all the way back to Cappy's story originally there, but I think it's just ignorance, right? We if we don't fully understand something, we throw a conclusion on it, and I know that I'm preaching the choir in this, but like I hit on conspiracy theories a lot and stuff like that. But in doing that, we always try to have some sort of grounded gravity that we're holding to, so we don't go too far down the rabbit hole of just you can just chase your dog chasing your own tail. So I think with you know, in relation to gypsies, it's just a lot of misunderstood cultural practice and what's going on. If people really understood it, they'd recognize that that's not really the case with gypsies. Personally, in my own opinion, now it's not saying that they don't exist within gypsies, but that doesn't mean that just because you're a gypsy, you're a practicing witch.
You're a witch. I mean, every what is that? Every
She's
nationality, every race has their own, you know, whole witch thing going on. Like, did you know, like in Africa, have you ever guys heard, like if you're an albino in Africa, like your life is really in danger. Like they actually will come and because listen to this.
Well, the sun's
story.
hot there, so I'm just kidding.
Hold on. Well,
a lot of UV rays.
That's a good one. No, like the witch doctors over there will actually pay and they will hunt you down and they will kill you and use you for medicinal purposes. Google it and you'll see how albinos over there are very, like if you're an albino, you have to be really, really careful with your life. Like they will actually they pay a lot of money for your body. If somebody, they'll hunt you down, kill you, and sell you to the witch doctors over there. It's just you know they'll use your bones and your hair and different stuff to like make like medicinal stuff. You know, like that's yeah. There's actually like a documentary you saw about it. I'm gonna have to look it up one day and send it to y'all. But yeah, there's albinos. It suck to be over there. Man, you're not an albino. You're just white. You know, it's like an albino black guy. You know, they have. It's crazy.
So really quick, before we get too far away from it, I just had a question for Cappy with your story because there was a couple of things I wanted to like I guess hit on a little bit with that. So prior to your experience where she kind of, and I feel like we're like really close to what Dave's show was about last night. I don't know if anybody caught Dave's show last night, but I feel like we're hitting on a lot of the same stuff there. Yeah. But when you had this moment of her, I guess, sensing your thoughts or whatever, did you personally feel a difference in your own energy or her energy? I mean, did you feel now that you're thinking about it, that you could recognize it, or if she hadn't identified it, would you have never known?
Earlier I said that she had an energy that you kind of knew that she was about her stuff. Like I don't know, like she she put off a different aura than most people did. She was a heavier presence. But when she was in my head, no, if she wouldn't have said anything, I wouldn't have known.
So the
Right
whole
on.
Billy thing, did you ever ever see that ever again after you started doing like the Billy ever in your life? Did you ever meet a
it was
Billy?
like a week in kindergarten. I changed my name to Billy, Billy, and there was no rhyme or reason for it, you know.
Did you hear about that part, Will? What he was talking about Willy, Billy, not Willy.
Mhm.
What he talk about Billy when he changed his name?
I did. I thought it had to do with in relation to the person that had passed away in that energy.
Go ahead.
No, it
go ahead.
was an energy that she had told me it's not a spirit, it's an energy that you created, and it's very intrigued by you. And she said its name's Billy. When I was in kindergarten, I, for no reason that I can think of, changed my name to Billy for a week or two. Just Billy. Like I would sign all my little art projects and sign everything Billy, Billy.
I totally
And there
missed
was
that.
no real reason for it. It just kind of happened.
Interesting.
And it was just kind of shocking when she said that was the name of whatever was inhabiting our house. And so now all my wife's family has this joke that Billy's following me around. And
You never know. You never know. I mean,
Yeah.
like I said earlier, Willie, maybe you know that Billy's from another dimension and was reaching out to him back when he was younger, you know. But now, like the whole imaginary friend thing, like when he was younger, maybe he was reached out, but he didn't see it because he probably doesn't remember. Maybe he had an imaginary friend back then, you know, and now he doesn't see that anymore. Maybe Billy is around, you know. Maybe it's like a Mexican Billy, you know. Orale, Billy, you know.
no, it never seemed malevolent. Like it wasn't bad. It was just kind of spooky because it would do stuff that really didn't have a point to it. You know, open cupboards and turn TVs on, close doors, and just stuff like that.
While you were growing up, you've never like seen stuff like or had experiences like while you were sleeping, seeing faces of different people that you've never seen. You know, maybe that was Billy in your dreams. You know, maybe
Not that
Billy's in your
not
dreams.
that I can remember. No.
No?
Have you ever heard about George in Billy's house?
I have.
Have you ever experienced that yet?
Yes, when me and Amanda first got together, yeah.
Okay,
Hey
now
guys,
I'm
when I
intrigued.
grew up, you remember Papa Willy that was on here?
Yeah. Mhm.
Billy, my cousin, he just lives down the street. Okay, I kind of grew up in that house too. I stayed there all the time, weeknights and weekends. I just go to school from there. We went to the same high school and everything. And there was a ghost in that house, and we called him George, just because we didn't know what else to call this thing, so we called it George. And
Hey,
it was so
George.
crazy. It shook door
George
handles.
Jungle.
Give me a beer,
Man,
George.
it shook door handles so bad, like you would open the door because you knew someone was on the other side shaking the handle, trying to scare you, and there's no one even in that room. And then it gets
Wow.
he never ever did anything that would hurt you or harm you or scare you, other than shaking the door handles to let you know maybe he's there. And one day, we're playing video games in the living room floor, and the door is open to the bedroom. And I don't know if it was Donnie or Billy. One of them said, "Hey, George, can you shut the door for me?" And the door shut. And it freaked me out. So from then on, we could ask him, can you close that door? And he would, no rhyme or reason, this door would be open for hours. And it would just shut.
Whoa.
Seconds after you would say, "Hey, George, can you close this door?" And this whatever it was would close the door. And as kids, that's how we remember this. And I never seen anything. It just, you don't see anything. The door just shuts or the handles shake. That was what sticks out for me, is the handles. Those door handles scare the shit out of me, man, because they're shaking. It's like somebody grabs the door handle and is shaking it really hard. And you grab it while it's shaking and open the door, and there's no one in the room.
Oh, that would freak me.
The lights
right
on and go
out.
through the whole room, and there's no one in there.
For sale.
And then
Houses for
The other
sale.
day, I brought this up with Billy. He told me when he was, because he's younger than me. So when we were kids and this was going on, he told me he used to see him standing in the hallway, and it used to scare him. And I go, "What do you mean? You never told me that." And he said, "Yeah, I was scared to tell anybody that. He goes, it used to really scare me, Sonny, because I would see him standing in the hallway, and he never said like he could see it. I just remember the doors shutting, but I never seen anything. Just it was like nothing, like a gust of wind came and shut the door with no wind.
Did you guys see Black Dragon's comment, by the way?
Yeah, I just saw
I
that.
was telling the story. I didn't even see.
Oh, you're good. It goes right into what your story was about. It's interesting. So while Sonny pulls this up here.
Oh man, that's crazy. So what he said, well, actually, since when you look it up, he said that is what my family had called our ghost. His name was George too.
I think what we found out was after we got older, I'll have to ask Billy about this. I can't remember. The house is old, all right? So they didn't build it. They just lived there. But I think the guy that built the house, originally his name was George. And we just found this out like after we were probably in our 20s, maybe 30s.
Maybe he
20s,
telepathically gave you his name, and you didn't even know it.
Something. It's crazy. I'll have to ask Billy about that. I can't remember if that's true or not. I'm going to have to check up on that. But I remember something about either someone that lived there before or something to do with that house and the name George.
So what about? I'm sorry, Sonny. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No,
Lewis, go ahead.
No, go ahead, because I got a little story to tell you. But go ahead and ask what you got to ask.
Well, I was just gonna say this is reminding me a little bit of. You guys remember when I had Jess on? She came on and helped out for over there at the UFO Garage doing we covered CERN and all that. So you know how like she's part of a paranormal group, right? And her and Mark from the What If Tomorrow podcast, they're both in the same group and they go out and do investigations. And she was saying that they had a case where. I don't know if you guys have ever looked up this phenomenon before, and I forget the name of the phenomenon. So if somebody knows, please forgive me out there. I don't know off the top of my head. It's not paranormal is not like my expertise whatsoever. But there's a phenomenon where you can put a tape recorder in a room, and you can ask questions, and you won't hear anything. But when you play that tape back later, there'll be a voice answering sometimes those questions, even though you didn't audibly hear it. Now sometimes you have to turn up the decimals or whatever. But when one of the experiments were being done like this that they conducted, what they found was the lady was doing it, and she was getting this old man and what she thought was a younger girl. And in their answer, she heard them talking, and the old man said, they're here. Do you hear them? And the young girl said, I want to hear them. Let me hear. And the old man said, they're here. The spirit's here. So in their world, she, conducting the study, was the spirit in their reality. And that gets into where we're talking about like the realities of like maybe we're really pancaked, like the parallel timelines are really close, but it appeared in such a way that it seemed like she was a ghost in their timeline. You know what I'm saying? So it's weird that what if their reality is totally real, but she was there was a thinning of the veil and she was crossing over a little bit to where they were perceiving each other as spirits, even though they could both totally be tangible and real in their own reality. I don't know. It was making me think a little bit, I guess, of some of these experiences. And it goes one step farther. Mark was talking about in the 1600s, this was well documented in England especially, where in these certain castles, these people would talk about seeing flashing lights. They'd see somebody in clothes that they didn't recognize, and they would see a flashing light, right? And then you fast forward to now, where people are getting some of these pictures of these spirits, and they're taking pictures of it. And in his opinion, he thinks that, we're talking about time isn't quite linear, like we perceive it to be. What if that was two timelines seeing each other? They were seeing the moment that picture was taking, because they said these ghosts were holding devices in their hands with bright lights. That was the best they could describe it. Yeah, so it's like, it's so strange. It really does fascinate. I have zero knowledge on paranormal, so I don't even pretend to, but it does fascinate me. It truly does.
I'm trying to learn about it. I love it. I mean, I'm always trying to learn something. That's what people should do. You should always, learn about something. Like I spoke to UFO Garage podcast when I was on their show about what happened when I was younger in Puerto Rico, when I was just a little boy. I had a friend. Yeah, little niño. I had a neighbor. His name was Tato. And I would go to his house and I would see some crazy stuff. Like you'd be sitting there. Back then, we didn't really have, like MTV or cable, nothing like that. So we'll be playing with our little Hot Wheels or something, and something would just fall off the counter and break, or, like just stuff would always break and fall off, and Grandma would be like, Grandma was always talking about somebody, but we didn't know who she was talking about, I guess she knew the spirit that was in the house or something. And then like he would tell me that he would look down, like funny, like he would tell me he would look down the hallway when he would come use the bathroom at night. And he would see like half a body, like a torso. He would only see legs. Sometimes he would come out, you only see the top of the body, you know. And like one time, I thought he was crazy. One time I was on top of that roof. That's another thing I never told you those guys. I was on top of his roof, and you know, because when you're kids, you know, you do stupid stuff. You climb on the roof, and I remember I'm sitting on the roof, and I was sitting on the edge of the roof, and we were talking, and like something. I had stitches at the time because I was riding my bike, and I actually, you know, cut my leg up. I had like 5 stitches. And I felt something because there wasn't no wind or nothing. I fell off the roof. I felt something like push me, but he was sitting next to me. I fell off the roof. When I landed, I busted my stitches up. You know, and it was crazy like experience that I had that time. And then like I remember I came back to his house, and it was nighttime. We parked the bikes out front, and we opened the door, and his grandma's like saying "Dios mío, Dios mío." You know how Spanish ladies say, you know. And like when we looked down the hallway, you looked in the door, it was like a neon red light just glowing through the door. So I was like, I ain't going over there, you know. So, you know, he walked up to the door. He just froze. He said to me, I don't know, because I didn't see it. It's just what a kid tells me, that he saw like kind of like a leg. It was kind of like a claw, like standing there. It was like a being standing there. It was like glowing red. I'm not saying it's the devil or nothing, but he said he saw some kind of like a demon type being in there. That house always had some eerie feeling to it, you know. And I've had everything. Some experiences from that house were crazy. Like literally, like plates would just fly across the room and just break. You know, you'd be like, "Oh, that was weird." You know, after a while, you know, you get used to it. But you know, like in that area, that whole neighborhood where I lived was kind of nuts. Like sometimes I would walk to my house at nighttime. You would look out, and there was a cow field, and you would look, and all the cows would have like red eyes. And they're just looking at you, and you're like, there's no lights in that field for the cows to have red eyes. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And then, like, you would, like, look away, you know, because you're scared, and you would look back, and there's no red eyes, you know? I don't know if there was a whole bunch of chupacabras in there, but, like, it's just, you know, like, experiences that my grandpa always said that, you know, there was ghosts around that area, you know? You know, my grandpa was always really into that. But, you know, we're just alternate dimensions we don't know about. Like I was saying, you weren't here for that one, Willie. We could only see so much with our eyes, you know, like a human eye could only see so much. A cat could see certain things that we can't see. A dog could see things that we can't see. I mean, if we could see everything all those other animals would see, you know, we would probably go crazy seeing stuff that we don't even believe in, you know. There's probably ghosts around, you know. There's probably other spirits.
What's your thoughts of that, Chad? Because I feel like Chad has a thought for that. Because I have one rebuttal to that. And I totally agree with what you're saying, but I just have one rebuttal to it. But Chad, what are your thoughts on what he's saying about us basically not, and you're absolutely right, not being able to see everything? What do you think about that?
I've always thought that was pretty interesting, how there's radio waves and Wi-Fi waves and all kinds of stuff around us all the time. Just like radio waves from radio stations and stuff, those are all around us all the time, and we just don't have the senses to pick it up. I had another question for you, Willie, though, when you were talking about the different spirits and stuff. Have you ever done the experiment with the flashlight where you like barely put the cap on and then ask the flashlight or ask the ghost questions and then the flashlight turns on and off?
Nah, here's the thing. My mom, again, going back to her grandmother's, my great grandmother was, from my understanding, up until my grandfather, you know, found Christianity or whatever. They were full, you know, they were musicians in the bars, and she was a full-time practicing witch. It was something she was known for. And again, like you talked about, those, everybody has one in the neighborhood that maybe back in the day we just kind of knew of. And that's what she was. And my mom, for whatever reason, experiences she had, and some of her sisters, it was traumatic enough for them that they were deeply disturbed by it. And they wouldn't even allow us to really even discuss it, which was amazing to me because it's in the Bible and stuff like, and that's what we were raised on. So it's like it's all throughout there, and that's where I go back to a lot of things, even with the Ouija board. And I wanted to hit on that earlier, is that I view a Ouija board like anything that we were talking about earlier. What I said is that I view anything as a tool. It's all about how we utilize that tool. So I think if you're respecting it, I think if you understand the risks and you are prepared, and you've created a safe base. I hate using that term these days, but it is important when you're reaching out. I think if I know about the paranormal stuff is that you need to have a setting. You need to understand your ability, where you stand with things, and be in a good place, because I do believe in attachments. And just make sure you close that opening or that parallel, if you are tapping into another dimension, that you close that door when you're done. And I think that's the biggest problem and I've never messed with a Ouija board, but anytime I've heard bad stories, it's always been the case. People just didn't close the portal, and they let something through that didn't really maybe need to be coming through, or even want to come through. Maybe you summoned something that, but I would be inclined to believe that you're not really summoning anything, generally speaking. If anything, if it's going to come through, it's going to come through. But no, to answer your question, Chad, I'm rambling now. We didn't mess around with that stuff at all. You know what I mean?
What about Candyman? You ever try to get Candyman to come out? Candyman.
No Candyman, no Bloody Marys, none of that stuff.
I did.
No.
Hey, I've done Bloody Mary with somebody before, and somehow they ended up with a cut on them. I don't know if they were freaking out. Everybody started screaming. It could have been somebody's nail. You never know. But kids, there's so many things that you know.
Right.
There's so many things that you don't know about. But like the whole CERN thing, that's another thing that you guys, that was pretty cool, man. Like they're doing rituals and they're opening portals and different things are, people are coming from other, from the future trying to stop it and, try to like there was a guy supposedly they came down and try to, destroy it because, he wanted to stop it from becoming what it's becoming now. But, like the whole CERN and everything, that's pretty crazy. The whole thing with I think it was a bird or something that flew through or something. Just so many things about the CERN, that we don't know. But I'm trying to learn a lot about it. Like I heard that podcast with it. It was pretty interesting. You know anything about CERN, Chad?
No, I was just going to say, I don't know anything about I need to look more into CERN.
Oh, man. It's really, really interesting. Big Will knows a lot about that. He's been.
I wouldn't say I know a lot. I know very
little.
Little. There's a reason we brought in the guest to cover it, someone who actually knew what they were talking about. And even that, and the reason it's so much to cover is because it gets into you get into the quantum realm, which is like anytime you're dipping into the the quantum realm, it's like the more it's explained, the more they're like, oh, we don't really have the answers, and I always like to recognize with any subject my own limitations, and so when I get to that spot where I have to say, okay, this is simply my speculation, and maybe it's a gut instinct and it's accurate, but I have to at least say that this is just Will guessing at this point, right? And it's fun to speculate, and I enjoy it, but I always try to identify like, hey, this is totally me speculating because this is not my area of expertise. But I do think CERN is there's a lot to be watched there. There's a lot that even the scientists and there have been those that have left and tried to be whistleblowers. We didn't even get into it, but there's been those that have like come up missing. There's questions to be had with what they're doing. I don't think that, like we said when we did the show, I don't think that anybody goes there like, I'm going to end the world. They truly go there because it's amazing to work at CERN if you're a scientist. Like that's the all be that you could go to. But some of the practices there and how compartmentalized it is, it's very interesting, but it comes back again to the ancient, like 509 was hitting on earlier, ancient sacred ritual practices where we continually come back. There's a reason why ancient Egypt is still so relevant and talked about to this very day. There's something there to all that. You look up the numbers 3, 6, and 9. We were talking about like people freaking out about the number 6666, right? But we had a gentleman in the chat that night he's an earth and science teacher. And he was talking about how you add up all the different elements of what it is to create life, and they all equal 666. So have we been misled to believe that 666 is this evil number when maybe we should be evaluating that more? Why do all numbers come back to 3, 6, and 9? If you equal most things out, it's very strange. If you look it up, I thought the person was full of it, and they're like, start adding it up. They're like, everything comes back to 3, 6, or 9. I was like, no way. Outside of this one really simple test where they can like double if it's even, they add. If it's minus, they whatever. It always comes back to 1. But that's a whole other thing. But anyways, 3, 6, and 9 always seem to come up. And I got to say, 69 is a prime number for me. So I'm going to be inclined to believe in the power.
I was waiting for you. I was going to say that. Yeah.
I mean, I haven't had one, but I've heard threesomes are pretty solid. So I don't know. 3,
Everything
6, and
comes
9s. I don't know, bro. I feel like
They could be awkward at the same time, okay? You know.
I can't speak to it. I don't know about that.
Yeah, especially if the one that gets jealous, your girl gets jealous because you're paying more attention to the other one. Yeah, that kind of sucks.
I feel like Lewis has some stories. He's got some stories he can share.
Yeah, I remember being at.
He's got stories. I bet he better not share them.
No, I can't do that.
Oh man,
It's gonna be rough making donuts in the morning if you got to sleep on the couch.
Well, Cap, why don't we ask Cap things? So we always get to chat with each other and hang out. But Cap, what's your opinion on some of the stuff we're talking about tonight? I guess what is your take?
I don't know much about numerology. The one interaction I've had with that, me and my wife were in Monterey, and I don't remember why we were there. I don't think it was a trip with my kids, but we were in Monterey, and we met this guy on the beach, and he walked up to us and he goes, "I don't know what it is about you guys, but I need to talk to you." And he said that he was on drugs, and so I would assume from the way he was talking it was methamphetamine.
Oh, yeah.
But he comes up and he goes, "I'm gay, I have AIDS, and I'm a drug user, but I have to talk to you guys." Okay, what do you want to say? And he told us, "I have to tell you that whatever you guys are getting ready to do in life, do it." And we had been talking about moving to the Bay, Fremont. And we go, "Oh shit, that's kind of crazy." My wife goes, "Yeah, we've been talking about moving to the Bay." And he goes, you should move there." And then he went on to tell us, I guess he practiced something in numerology, but he says that there's no double digit number in numerology. I don't know if this is true or not. I don't know anything about it, but this is what he said. And he said, everybody thinks that 13 is an unlucky number, but there's no double digit number in numerology. So that would actually be a 4, and 4 is a very religious number or spiritual number. I don't remember exactly what he said. But when you were saying everything comes back to 3, 6, and 9, 6, 6, 6 added up, that's 18. 1 and 8, that's 9. You know? But I don't know. That's I don't have a whole lot of experience with numerology.
Well, like Black Dragon was saying. He actually said on the chat. He said that Tesla had mentioned 369, and he was also experimenting with ether. I'm not sure what he meant by the ether part, but there's probably something to do with that. That's pretty interesting. Tesla was a very smart, crazy guy. He had a lot of things. Supposedly, he made love to his doves. Did you hear about that part?
Yeah.
Never heard that one.
Sonny said no.
Hey boy, you gonna fuck that chicken?
Did you see the size of that chicken? So Cappy, have you what do you believe about everything? When it comes to aliens and
what do I believe about everything?
Just lay everything in life on the table.
I should have said everything
universes. I think that's where we are. Whether or not we are in a simulation in this universe, I don't know. I could believe it. I don't know. But I believe in spirits. I believe that we are in something way too big to be alone here. I don't know what their purpose for us would be, whether it's to teach us something or learn something from us. I don't know. I'm pretty big on conspiracy. Well, my wife's bigger than I am on it, but I believe in a lot of conspiracy theories.
All right, tell me a good one.
Like which ones? What's a good one?
Yeah.
What's a good one? God.
Epstein didn't kill himself.
Well, that's not even a conspiracy.
No, absolutely.
And we're off YouTube.
Yeah, that would be a big one. That there's okay. I watched this video. I don't know if it was on TikTok or my wife brought it to my attention, but it was this woman talking about a book that was written by a Rothschild. I don't know which one, but it was written by them. And it was a description on how to control the masses. And it talked about, we will poison them with their food. We will poison them with the water. We will poison them with the air they breathe. And it was very dark, but it was, I mean, shoot, if you want to control somebody, it was pretty, yeah, that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Rothschild family. Yeah, they're pretty interesting if you really think about it.
But yeah, that's one of the conspiracy theories that I buy into the most.
Do you know what's interesting about the Rothschilds and oh crap, what's the other big family? There's the Rothschilds and the other really big one.
Well, Rockefeller.
The Rockefellers, thank you. So those guys taking over the modern education system at the turn of the century, 1908, I think it was. And in 1908, you got to keep this in mind, comparison of money. We're talking about where people were paying half pennies. Remember we used to have half pennies, wheat pennies and stuff? So yeah. They pumped millions at that time into forming what became the modern education board. And in 1957 officially had, officially taken over. But they essentially rewrote the entire educational system and formed it to what we know it is now. And so I don't think it's a conspiracy. A lot of people say, well, when you initially hear something, you're like, oh, that's just a conspiracy. And I always love to break it down. Well, let's break it down. Let's see, is it a conspiracy or is it not? And what it was at the time is we had this massive industrial complex that was breaking loose. The industrial boom was taking place, and they needed people to fill that. You didn't need free thinkers. You needed people that were educated enough to be able to fulfill a position, but not educated enough to be able to create that job and be a challenge. So instead of that person going out and making a new position that challenged your own current company, we're just going to employ that person. And school, you look at the bells ringing and all the rules and regulations, what education was prior to 1908, and I'm not saying education is bad, I'm not, but the alteration in which it went really got us away from our connection, spirituality from earth and the connection that way. And it really took us back to something that just is not natural. I don't know about how you guys were in school, but I couldn't hold still for the life of me. I was terrible, and it just grinded against me. And what I found is a lot of people that were troublemakers in school end up being the free thinkers later in life who recognize the system and recognize what's going on. Right. And it just, but those guys pumped so much money. You look into it, they rewrote those curriculums. They funded all that from the 1900s on. We're talking 3-4 generations. That's all it takes to rewrite history, and it just be completely different than it just doesn't exist unless you're, like the American Indians have kept some of their lore. Yeah. And the Celtics, and they've passed that down through, but that's it. That's all you have is just word of mouth, and there's nothing on the books really to track that unless somebody's got like a great journal they kept track of. So to me, I don't think that stuff's, it's conspiracy. It's like, well, let's break it down. I mean, and that's free knowledge. People can look that up right now. You can look it up on Wikipedia, and Wikipedia's like, that's its own thing, bro. That's a joke. But you can look it up on something like that and multiple other sources. So to me, that's the thing is like, if it's something's a conspiracy theory, maybe, but when you start to find all the evidence for it, now we're rolling into an area that's a little different. That's why now they come up with the whole anecdotal evidence isn't evidence. They keep moving the bar on what is and what isn't evidence. And that's all I'll say about that. That way we don't get in trouble.
It's like saying prove it, you do it, and prove it again.
Exactly. Oh, you got it right? All right, now you got to find it and prove it right this way.
Yeah, what if, it's always like, no, but, it's always another way, I don't know. The way that kids are being taught nowadays is not the same way when I was being taught. It's just even like they're actually changing it. Even though they changed it, it's being changed by people now. Like if you look at their work now, like when you get your kids' homework, like I was saying earlier, what it was when I was younger, or it's not the same. They're constantly changing it. That's why they don't teach the kids cursive. I don't know if Sonny does that. Hey, Sonny, do you know why they don't teach the kids cursive anymore?
Nope. I don't really, but I know they don't because
computers made it obsolete.
Okay. I want to tell you why. Because they don't want them to read the Constitution.
Yeah.
So that way you got all this, and these kids don't know how to read the Constitution and the independence of. Oh my God, sorry. I forgot what it's called. Declaration of Independence. If they can't read it, they don't know what it says. Then they can't really go by it, and that's what they're trying to do. That's what this generation is trying to do, or this government now is trying to do, is get rid of that, so people don't know what it says. They're gonna be like, "Oh no, it doesn't say that," They write their own rules. It's probably what happened with the Egyptians maybe, or like American Indians or the Native Americans. Everything changed because of stuff, and it was forgotten. So that's what they're trying to do with the Constitution. They're trying to get that forgotten and put it away. So yeah, you learned something today.
I can't even imagine how many things have been forgotten over the years. Just through civilization.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Look, I feel like just all of us looking at our grandfathers. Now, Sonny, you're a different story. You and Lewis, you got some skills. And Chad, I can't speak to what you do directly, but I feel like, and I could be wrong, but I feel like a majority of our grandfathers, so let's go third generation back, were so well-rounded and able to work with their hands and knew what they knew, that they were just a solid individual that was independent, was self-reliant. And you look at the shift, and this is just much on us as it is, I suppose, some of the environment we're in. But you look at our children that are coming out, and they're not the same breed. I'm not the same breed that my grandfather was. And I just make it all bad. I think that some things are good. We're progressing in certain areas. But when it comes to the individual independence and knowing and understanding oneself, there's been a massive shift, I feel like. And I could just be wrong.
And not even grandfathers, like my mother. My mother knew how to change brakes. My mother would change oil. My mother would change the alternator on a car. My mother knew how to do interiors for cars. My mother knows how to cut wood. My mama would build a fence. My mother could do anything. If she doesn't know how to do it, she would do it. Like my mom, I'll be like, "What are you doing?" She's always doing something, and she's like older now, but she's always doing something. Like that's how I learned, like change brakes. She used to like have her own little car club back in the days, and do mechanical work on the side, like my sister now she knows because she got married, but man, she couldn't even boil water. She would burn that because she didn't know how to cook. You know what I'm saying? Like she burnt the water trying to boil it, and but girl, really like the old. Let me not say this too loud, but older men.
I feel like every time you do a show on here, you get in trouble with your lady. Every time.
There's every seat, if I see an older Mexican guy at work or a Puerto Rican guy, his food is always packed, everything's ready. But you see a younger guy and he's always got McDonald's or he's got some crap. It was lost, man. Women nowadays don't do what they used to do back in the days. My mom will cook every day. My girl only cooks maybe 3 times a day.
He's looking around.
I'll tell her,
Man, we're live once again.
Oh no.
She'll know where I'm at. But I love her. You know what I'm saying? She does good.
She's right behind
She's
you,
really
man.
good.
Watch out. Lewis, watch out.
But yeah, the generations have changed. Kids nowadays, my son, he doesn't even want to go outside and play. I have a son. He's autistic and he just wants to be on YouTube all day watching YouTube videos. And I'm like, let's go play football. If I throw the football hit him right here. He can't even catch the football. It's kids not I used to skate all day. I have to come home when it's nighttime. We've lost so much. These kids, they're out of shape. They can't run. Our soldiers in the future are going to be what are they going to watch YouTube all day?
No.
You know what I'm saying?
They're going to shoot you this.
Well, it does work because of drones and everything.
Drones
That's pretty cool.
in.
Drones are coming in, but technology is going to change. Pretty soon we're going to have freaking robotic soldiers out in the field. You never know. But kids nowadays are so lazy. Right now, there's no kids outside riding bikes or nothing. When I was growing up, man, if you were looking for your friends, you would just walk to every friend's house or drive your bike to a friend's house, and you see 6-10 bikes in front of the house. You knew everybody was there. There was always a crew. There was always, everybody was outside, jumping bike, riding skateboards, shooting BB guns. My kids
Building forts out in the woods.
And it's my fault. My older sons, he knows how to work on dirt bikes and stuff like that. But my 12-year-old, he doesn't know how to do that. My 14-year-old, he plays football. He's athletic. But half of these kids are just dumb, man. So just make sure we don't do that, man. Not all. There's a lot of smart kids. But, man, this generation is going to shit. And everybody's so soft nowadays. Their feelings get hurt so quick. They need a safe space.
A safe space.
Yeah,
my daughters get away with it because they're girls, but when I work on their cars, my grandson's out here and he wants to work on them with me. When you guys see pictures of my truck apart, I have to take it apart. It's broke again, actually, but yeah, when I'm working on that truck, he's He's out there with me. He wants to be too.
Oh,
He's
that's cool.
There's just different kinds of kids now. He likes his video games, but he would rather work on a truck.
I feel like when I was younger, I was always on a mountain bike or a BMX bike, and I was always out in the woods building forts, like constantly out in the woods.
So
And
now,
you,
see, when the apocalypse comes, you build your own fort and live out of it.
that's right. I'm a ground blind. Yep.
Yeah, but it's weird. There is a give and take with it, right? And I always I try to find that balance because I know I can get extreme to one side or the other, and extremism usually never works out. But there is that balance of not losing the ability for an individual to be self-reliant, but progressing and understanding that, okay, yes, going out and doing some of those things that need to happen, like building a fort and playing and just being grounded with the earth, and I'm huge on that, needs to take place. But that's not going to progress them in a social environment and in a future career necessarily either, because there is that aspect of, even if you're going to be a mechanic, everything's digitalized so much. You've got to have a strong understanding of digital coding and reading. So it's this weird give and take with it. And we're in a weird transition. We're in that transition of what happened in the 1800s and the 1900s, where you had the year that the Model T was released. You had that multimillionaire who bought $2 million worth of horses. Well, he made the bad investment, right? Like, that went away. So that weird, give and take of the balance of it all, you know?
Well, you're right. And humanity's evolving. That's what it is. So, it's not the same, Back when I was growing up, now there's computers. We didn't have computers. So everybody's
The world's
evolving.
gotten bigger.
Yeah. The things have changed. And you're right about that, what you said, Will. I feel you on that. I was just being funny when I said kids are stupid, But.
No, but you're not wrong in that, because these phones right here, this is and my brother and I have hit on this on our show so many times, and when we say this is like I'm preaching to myself. I'm just as guilty of this. This is the most magnificent piece of intelligence and technology that we've ever, as a common people, without being in special groups, have had. Now, we can choose to educate ourselves with this in fantastic ways and improve oneself, but then also recognizing the ability that, it used to, television was called programs for a reason. It programmed people. We always hit on that. And now you had to sit down and watch the program, and now it's just with you. It's everywhere you go. And we become a slave, and I'm preaching myself on this, with these. And if it's not used properly, the conditioning and the enslavement, I would put it, with technology is a dangerous thing. My dad used to just, what he knew was in his head, and now there's stuff I'm like, man, I think I know it, but because I'm like, oh, I can just check here and it'll confirm that I know it. And because I'm doing that, I'm not sitting there going, no, you have to know this. So if I crashed on an island, like we were talking about earlier with Tom Hanks, man, you better know that you know that. Because you're not going to be able to just Google the answer.
I think about that sometimes. That's why the other day I was looking at, I send it to you, because I forgot how to skin a squirrel. You never know. You got to eat a squirrel. You got to, I look at videos like that. I know, Sonny knows how to. I was about to say Sonny knows how to skin a cat. Sonny knows how to skin a deer.
I can skin a cat.
Probably. You probably can skin anything,
It's
huh?
insane. Yeah,
but it's everybody's got their own skills. I know, I know you've never heard of What If Tomorrow podcast or listen to it, but they talk about everybody has there's electricians, and everybody has their own skill. Like Chad, you're probably good with tools. Sonny, he's good with cars. Everybody's got their own thing. Will, he's good at making babies. So but
Hey, they don't call it Big Willy Weekends for nothing, okay? Listen here.
he wears that helmet and goes in the room, be like, "I'm here," When he rolls,
he's that man rocking down by the river.
The van down by the river.
That's right.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. Got a van down by the river. I love that guy. Not too soon, man.
No
Not too
kidding.
soon. Yeah. But yeah, man. Hey, life is beautiful, though. I like Phil. I've been prepping. Believe it or not, I've been buying a lot of. Canned goods are not that good to have, but I have them just in case. I'm doing a little bit of that.
Those mountain house meals, I can vouch for those.
Mm-hmm.
I started
What are
buying
those?
those when I was going camping. The freeze-dried packets that you dump boiling hot water
Yeah,
into. And
I would
close it
like
up.
to learn how to freeze dry. That looks pretty cool, man. Like learn that. That's a good
My
trait
dad
to have.
actually bought a freeze dryer. He said his electric bill is like through the roof. He needs a nuclear power plant just to power it. But he when the pandemic started and all that, he bought one and just started going crazy. Like they were making huge. Yeah, what was that? That was,
Yeah, I didn't even think California
drive
could
by Lewis's
approve
house.
that exhaust system. Are you sure that's California legal over there right now? Are you
that
sure the
wasn't here.
emissions on that?
That was Florida exhaust.
Oh,
that's
okay.
Florida.
The emission levels on that.
We don't have we don't have emissions level at all. You know why? Because of the space shuttle.
Ah.
So
Oh, yeah?
they can't be, be like, oh well, you can't do this and that, but we're shooting a damn rocket every other day, so we can have straight pipes and we got all kinds of stuff, we don't have
They
that
do it.
here.
They only do, I think, in LA for you guys. That is, I don't think it's like all of California. It's like being in Michigan. Where everybody hears you're from Michigan. They're like, oh, you're in Detroit, and it's like, there's a lot of other states. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, cities besides Detroit.
right.
There's a lot more going on here besides Detroit.
Did
So I
you
mean,
see
yeah.
that?
That, I was going to
see
say
that?
that is. Go ahead,
Go
Lewis.
ahead, Chad. No, go ahead, Chad.
I was going to say, it's funny when other people ask you about like vehicle inspection tags and vehicle inspections, and we just don't have that here. So you can drive down if you drive down the Lodge or 94 at a certain time, you'll see a couch with a couch with 4 tires and an engine rolling down the road, and there's just no vehicle inspections here.
Mm-hmm.
You can drive anything if it rolls down the road, and you can put a license plate on it. It's good to go.
And it's why our roads are so bad, because the big three. They ship out all that weight and they don't want to restrict it because of the big three. That's why our roads suck so bad. They're willing to just pay that fine, that penalty. I think, Sonny, you and I were talking about that before, saying how, like, they'll be like, just keep rolling, we'll pay it, right? When you were at the railroad, and they're like, listen, they're never going to put this tag on here. But yeah, our roads are so bad because of that.
Yep.
And they won't fund it. They're so far over on the weight limits. And the roads here, I don't know how everybody else feels, but at least where we're at, and then Chad, it might not be as bad where you're at.
Yeah, they're
It's
not
still
bad
not-
here, but I lived in Allen Park for a year.
Oh, okay,
Which
so
is kind of close to Detroit, and the roads there are insane.
Mm-hmm. It's
Yep.
not
So
a
speaking
joke.
about-
It's
Tear
real bad.
vehicles up.
Speaking about cars, have you guys seen? I don't remember the name of it right now. But they're trying to pass something that you have to pay per mile a year to drive your vehicle. Have you seen
Oh, and
that?
I did see that on Facebook, but I wasn't sure. I didn't do any research.
It's not even
Yeah.
per mile per year. It's just per mile. 8 cents tax per mile.
Yeah. So if you really look at it, hold on. I did the math the other day. Let me look at my pictures. Hold on a second. Where my thing?
That
I
is
was
a
doing the
lot
math.
of money.
Don't pull those pictures up. He's gonna pull up the wrong picture. He's gonna pull a Ben, but it ain't gonna be his
No, I
driver's
got my
license.
social. hold on, I got
Ben's
my so-
driver's
I got my-
license.
I got my social security right here. Hold on a second. Where's it at? There it is. Okay. So they're supposed to. It's called Biden tax increase. It's called the driving tax. Fucking Biden.
Mm.
Sorry, I didn't say that out loud, did I?
We don't have nothing like that here. They get us for enough money
Well,
already.
no. It's not here yet. This is supposed to be nationwide. They're supposed to do this. It's supposed to be per mile user fee, and is estimated to be 8 cents per mile. Amounts vary depending on vehicles. So let's say this. Let's say you just put in perspective that you drive your car 26,000 miles, right, a year. That's going to be $2,080 a year you got to pay on taxes to drive your vehicle. They're trying to pass that right now. Did you see that big old freaking stack of infrastructure bill that was like this big that they had? It was like this big. Like, I guess you guys don't follow politics. Let's not get into politics here. But yeah. Let's not do that, But yeah, that's crazy. I don't want to pay that. I don't want to pay my taxes anymore if that happens.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of odometers with little switches underneath the dash.
Right?
Yeah,
I have a feeling.
yeah, because I'll take mine out.
Well, and that was
Yep.
my next question to that was, well, okay. First of all, that tax is wrong, right? Because my personal opinion is, now listen, I pay my taxes. I've done it every single freaking year, but taxation is theft, okay? And I will defend that.
I
the
heard
end.
that episode you had about it, yes. I was so mad when you were talking about it. You got me mad when I was listening to that episode. I said, you know what? He's right. I don't want to pay my taxes no more.
But you know what's messed up about it? You can You can even ask Google, and we all know Google's jaded in its answers. You can ask Google right now, and even Google will tell you it is legal theft. Well,
was
it'll
the
say it's
episode
a version of legal theft.
That was the episode you and Micah kind of were like, talking, I remember that one.
But yeah, my question to it though, to hit on this was, well, how are you tracking that, right? Like the new modern vehicles, whatever, they got a lot of things, but like, let's just say you got that old 77 Ford or whatever you got in the back that you're driving. How are you tracking like so what do I got to register every single year at the DMV? Is there going to be some sort of massive tax I pay all at once?
Probably somebody comes out and reads your odometer and comes back out and reads your
odometer. So then now you're continuing to put more people in risk of going on people's private property, and you're creating more conflict again.
No. When you go to the DMV to get your tag renewed, that's when they would check it. But I don't think it's for older vehicles. It's for certain vehicles, newer vehicles. And they'll probably put, like, you know how they have that little progressive thing that they plug, like, the little GPS thing into where your OBD2 tester's at? They'll probably give you one of those that you put into your vehicle, and they'll be able to register it. I'm just thinking. It's just
which brings me right back to my next point. Like people already say, tracking, whatever, we get tracked. We know that. We know from everything that was put in place with the Patriot Act after 2000 and 9/11 and all that.
This is how you get tracked.
Well, what does it say? Even if you turn your phone off, you leave your phone at home, people would say that all the time. They're like, my grandparents, they have a cell phone, but they never take it anywhere with them. Well, then now if they got to drive around with this thing, we are always going to know where they're at. And it's whatever. Like, people are not always going down a deep rabbit hole with that. But I just don't think we've got this so backwards. People call them our leaders all the time. They are not our leaders. What they are is the elected representatives that were elected to represent you and we, the people, and the best ideals for us going forward. And them, as very small government they are, trying to mandate and push these things to the masses is not okay. It's so messed up from where we're at. And we only have really one recourse of action left, and that is the Convention of the States, where we can legally, in a non-violent manner, enact the Fifth Amendment and proceed that way. And we only need, I think, 34 states to do that. And I keep preaching that if we want to make a change, that's what we have to really do, because that's where people can say, listen, and we drop a whole new thing. And one of my first things I'd put in place is, listen, a flat tax, 10% across the board. I don't care. They always talk about progressive tax works out better. It'll help you catch the rich and blah, blah, blah. Once you're up there, man, you're getting taxed less than with sometimes you and I at the levels we're at. So
you hate 10% taxes just like I do.
Oh, dude, it could be so simple. Put it on one piece of paper, 10%. And people don't realize that. They say, well, you're not taxing the rich enough. They're proposing stuff that's taxing them 94% of their total income. What is that? But the thing is, these guys aren't paying the tax in the first place. Amazon, it's in there. We all agreed to it. We pay that tax. Yeah. That shipping fee, that's the tax. We're paying it. It's in the. We clicked it. We agreed to it. It's in there. But the point being, if Jeff Bezos and Amazon and all these different companies had to pay their 10% tax, we can't fathom, we don't really understand what it says when somebody's a billionaire or multi-billionaire. Jeff Bezos is supposed to be the first trillionaire by the year 2026. I don't think people understand if that person paid 10% of their taxes, what it would really do to the economy. And who cares if that guy, like they're like, well, how are you ever going to catch Jeff Bezos? Well, if I ever do, at least I'll only be paying 10% in taxes versus 94%. Right. And we have to illegal find these loopholes to fund things back through. It almost encourages the illegal activities that take place. And I'm not even one to really cover. My brother's more the political aspect that like really goes in this and knows the laws ins and outs. But to me, the one thing I'm passionate about is taxes, because it's you look at a single dollar, you go and you earn that dollar. The company that just paid you that dollar, they had to pay tax with that money. It came from somewhere. Now you're paying an income tax. You spend it somewhere, it's getting taxed again, even though it was already taxed. And that person that just got purchased, received it from you purchasing, they're getting taxed on a receive. And then every time, it's just, if it was a bare minimum of 6 times, it'd be ridiculous. But it breaks out to like 37 times a single dollar is taxed down to like 6 cents. It's ridiculous. No wonder we don't have any money. And that's why they just keep reprinting it. That's why the federal debt, it's so frustrating because it goes back and forth on the minimum wage and the debt ceiling, and it's just a game. It's just a concept we all agree to. It doesn't even exist. Stuff doesn't exist. It's a bunch of numbers in a bank that says that this happened. It was just you trading time for money. It's not even real. It's ridiculous. Sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I started ranting about it.
No. No, you're. I feel you the same way, man. I feel the same way. It's just crazy. Like, if you really think about it, the way it works out, if you make $100, they'll taking $15 off of that 100. Well, that's insane. You know, you look at your check.
then you
let's say
spend it.
make-
Yeah, then when you
Yeah.
go to spend it to buy something, they tax it again.
Yeah.
I don't remember
That's
if it
insane.
was yesterday or today, but one of those 2 days, our federal debt was going
I was
to
gonna say
default.
that.
Like
Yeah.
all our
First
shit was
time-
going to be called in.
First time ever in our history that this
Mhm.
has
Yep.
happened. So they don't know what's going to happen. It's, I don't
Well,
know.
it got put up to like December now. It just got like a temporary
Did it?
push to.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Lucky
you know,
us,
they were
'cause-
they're like, oh, we're gonna run out of money, and like by like 12 o'clock tonight, we ain't gonna have no money. That would destroy our economy. You know. I mean,
Mhm.
imagine that. You're like, sorry, we ain't got no money.
You
Where's
know
my
what?
tax money though?
I think there was something to that too. I started talking to people, and I'll be the first on nobody else has to have to even admit or say this, but I was guilty of this. This past election was the first election I voted in, and I didn't vote for any of the main 2 people, right? But it was the first one that I'd actually paid attention to, and I just
Kanye West.
No, I didn't go for Kanye West. No. I went third party with Mama Joe, but it was the first time I'd actually paid attention, right, in casting my vote, because what I found is a lot of people that are, say, 40 to 20 that I talk with, man, there's a lot of us that have never even voted because we just had this perception that it doesn't matter. And you're not wrong how every single president's, man, they're all tied together in the same family tree. That's a real thing, man. And then they've all been, they know who's coming up 3 to 4 presidents out. They've been groomed and selected. This is real stuff that maybe you can't prove it with science or whatever, but come on. Anyways, the point being with that is that they have convinced us that we don't have any power left. We say it's corrupt, and well, some of the stuff for sure is, but we still have the power through the Constitution if we understand it, and it's not even always really complicated. It's just sitting down and reading it a little bit. And so that's something we do preach on Bob a lot, is just what can you and I as the individual do? Because I'll tell you, man, there's times I feel so defeated and helpless, and I just put my head back down and we go to work. Because what do? We go and we work hard. We work really hard to earn our money. We just hard. And sometimes we're just barely getting by. I'm not saying this for everybody, but I'm just saying sometimes you're just making a living. You know, you're not even making a life. You're just making a living, and then you
So
look
hard to
at
save, you know.
all that money at the end with Social Security. Why are we taxing those people? That person,
Yeah,
all
right.
that money they earned in that timeline, and then you're going to tax them at a higher tax bracket if they're not smart in how they allocate their money. When they get their money later in life, they're getting taxed at that current tax bracket, 30, 40 years, 60 years down the road. Well, 40 years down the road.
Right.
You know, so it's, to me, there's so much that's just wrong about how the system is being abused versus the way the American Constitution drafted in the way it was originally and the principles it was founded upon. We would be hard pressed to find anything in the past 1,000 years that was drafted as beautifully, that gave an individual the right versus a movement or a company or a group. It was about individual freedom and rights. And when the individual is the most important thing, you and I cannot lose our rights. When it's about a movement or a group or an organization, the individual no longer matters. All that matters is the organization. And so that's why when the Constitution is respected and upheld in the way that it should be, it is a beautiful piece of art and work that should be
It is
understood.
very beautiful. And that's what I was trying to say. Like the Constitution, yes. But in 30, 40, 50 years, it's not really going to matter if you can't read it. Remember? Like I told
And you're not
you,
wrong.
If you
Going
can't
back to like
read
the
it, you
religious
know?
stuff, right? That's why the Catholic Church burned people at the stake for translating the Bible from Latin into English. William Tyndale, well, it wasn't English at the time. It was English and something else. There was a couple things he was translating in it. But William Tyndale was one of the first ones to do this, and they burned him at the stake for it eventually. That was a real thing. Yeah, oh yeah, being burnt to death live, like going back to the witch stuff. I mean, we did that, man. That's like, but it's just we went back to control and power because if people could read something on their own, and it went back to a self-individual. Guys, I really think that we have, and I don't know who may be listening to this tonight, but we have more power than we realize. I really truly believe that, and I think that
A lot of
we
people
get-
don't see that.
yeah, we get limited in these systems. Man, I'm really rambling tonight so much, Sonny. I'm sorry. You brought your guests on.
Hey, man.
Cappy, why don't you tell some stories here tonight? I was supposed to go a while ago anyway. I don't know.
I don't have many stories that would pertain to this, but I totally dig what you're saying. I get what you're saying, but I honestly, and this is the thing that I believe that has happened to the world today. I will never have to tell my daughters and I'm sorry if there are children listening to this podcast, but I will never have to tell my daughters that Santa doesn't exist because they found that out for themselves thanks to the internet. And it takes your innocence young. I mean, you realize that there's,
Wait, what?
the magic that you. I'm sorry, but magic you grew up with isn't, and it's a lot bigger world than it used to be.
Did you hear what he said?
Back when people had those skills you were talking about, it was, you could send a letter, but how long did it take to get a response? And you survived on what you knew how to do and how you could provide for yourself and your family. But now everything's at your fingertips, and you can order stuff from China and it'll be here in 3 weeks to 9 weeks or whatever. And it's just, I don't know, people don't have to have that self-resilience that they used to.
Very true.
Very true.
No
That's a
patience,
good point.
no resilience.
And good thing you said that, or you just said that about like innocence and all that. When I was 12 years old, all I thought about was just skating. Or when I was like 8, 9 years old, I was thinking about my G.I. Joes. Kids
That was me.
nowadays, kids nowadays, they're 12, 13 years old. They're already know what Pornhub.
They're 7, 8 years old with a cell phone, and they can they can find out what they and that's. It's like Spider-Man said, with great responsibility or great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
That's a lot of power at your fingertips. It's a lot of knowledge. And as much knowledge as you can find from it, it takes away the magic real fast.
Yep.
Yeah, you just screwed Chad Smith magic. He knows Santa Claus.
I don't know what I'm gonna have a hard time sleeping tonight now.
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry.
Jeez.
There's totally a Santa Claus.
Where do they all come from?
I've actually got to go because I was supposed to go a while ago, but I'm loving this conversation so much. But I'm going to end it on this, and I really do have to go. I promise. Dude, I freaking love the Santa Claus stuff because we were raised too. Like my parents, 100%. That wasn't a thing. That was cut out. I think part of it was just because they maybe were a little bit poor, but then like they were another part of them like, yeah, Santa's not real, bro. So we never had the idea of Santa being real ever. And it was interesting, the dynamic between myself and some of my cousins and friends who believed in it still. And this was, mid to late 90s growing up. So, like, the internet, we couldn't just research it, man. And I remember some of the conversations you would have with your friends when I knew, like, I started hinting at, like, when they were, like, 8 years old or getting up there. And I'm like, man, I don't think Santa's real, right? Like, I started trying to, like, spread the word. I got to free my brothers, right? And, dude, it was weird because some of the conversations, I feel like, are some of the conversations we have as adults about conspiracies because they were like, there's no way everybody's in on it. They were like, Grandma wouldn't lie to me. My aunt wouldn't lie to me. My teacher wouldn't lie to me. The magazines I'm reading about it wouldn't lie to me. The books wouldn't be lying to me. But yet we're all in on this. For what? Just our own enjoyment, the magic of Santa Claus, right? It's a weird, like, little twist. It's so strange. And then if you look up the actual history of Santa Claus and you go into, like, the what's that mushroom called? It's a particular mushroom, but it has so much to do with psychedelics. Yeah, that's why the red and white, and it would decorate the trees, and it goes back into the pagan religion and what they would do under the tree, the green fern. It's a great, I love the actual history of Santa Claus, but, dude, the idea that there's a moment when you're a kid, it's the first major conspiracy theory where you're like, nah, man, there's no way. Everybody'd have to be in on this, bro. And they're totally all in on it. So weird.
His wife's been looking into it and kind of says they make good points about the flat earthers.
Oh, Willy's not going to be able to get off here now.
No, I gotta go.
Willy's staying.
She says in the Bible it talks about a firmament. And
Sorry to drop that on you on the end there, Willy.
Jesus. I don't want to believe that stuff.
Says the Bible
says there's a firmament.
It gets weird. It does beyond that. It sounds like there's an ocean. Okay, here's what I'll end on this. Man, I gotta go. Dang it.
again.
The Russians in 1960. You know how the Russians beat us on everything, right? The only thing we beat the Russians to was the actual moon. They beat us on everything else in the space race. And there's a yeah, you never know, right? But in this transcript, these Russians went up and they started describing. They were orbiting Earth, and they started describing these these gelatin-like creatures. They didn't know how else to describe them. They were like 50 feet in wingspans and almost 100 feet long. And the best way they could describe them is they look like giant jellyfish, see-through jellyfish. Now, if you look up history on like creatures that have been seen in space, there's quite a history with this. Where it gets weird is, guys, and we have to at least acknowledge this, most all of our information does come from one source, and that is NASA. You look at another thing. Why is it that Elon Musk was an independent person getting us to space, even Jeff Bezos and all these different ones, and who's the guy over in London, the millionaire, Richard Branson, or whatever his name is. Yeah. All have to work with NASA. Now everybody says, well, the safety reasons is that we can't have blah, blah, blah people up there. Yeah. But everybody has to go through them, which means all the information is sourced through them. So the only point I would give them on it is that you have a point in the fact that to get information, we're not able to get multiple point of views. We are getting one source, one company that provides this. I will give them credit on that. But the Bible does describe it. It sounds very weird if you take it verbatim, at least in the King James Version. It does sound like there's an ocean above us. It says the ocean, the lands below and above it. And I'm kind of murdering the actual quote, but it sounds like there's an ocean above us. It's very strange. And I don't know, man. I'm always open to any conversation. And as Chad and Sonny know, I've talked to both of you about it, right? There's some stuff there that always bothered me as a kid, and I think it's because I was homeschooled, and so I didn't have that education, like going to school and having it drilled in my head. There's questions, man. I asked Sonny the most simple question. If you fill a plate or a cup with water, and we're driving 100 miles down the drag race, right, and you're holding this plate with water in it, and we're doing 100 miles an hour, or you pour a cup, you can do that. You can pour it into a cup because the inertia will match what's going on. But then, man, if you just take the slightest turn left or right, you're going to know it. That plate water's going to slosh or you're going to feel it. And then we add up with NASA, and I'm not making these numbers up. This is what NASA tells us we're doing. We're spinning at 1,100 miles an hour, the Earth's rotation, then we go around the sun at 66,000 miles an hour, and then we're chasing the universe, whatever the main one is, at 93-something million miles an hour, and we're doing all these corkscrew spins and turns, and then you have all these like perfectly still lakes. Why can't I feel it? If I'm in a car and I'm sleeping and you took a hard right doing 40, I'm going to feel it.
There's some
Again,
things
I don't
that
have the answers.
I was thinking about that too, and I think there's two things going on. One is it's like a constant motion; it never changes. Mm-hmm. So maybe the constant motion doesn't. It's just a constant, never-ending motion. So there's nothing interrupting it that would make the ripples. And also another thing I kept saying during that podcast that you sent me out loud. I just kept saying, "That's on Earth. Like that experiment was on Earth."
Yeah.
And then there's so many experiments that he references, and I'm like, yeah, but you did that on Earth with gravity, you know.
Well, it all comes from mass, really. I mean, you think about it. I mean, let's say I jump off of my roof, I'm going to fall faster than an ant's going to fall. So the Earth is so big, it's such a big mass that the gravity, everything in it is, you know, it's kind of like I said, like, okay, an ant, if you see an ant and falls down, it's not going to kill itself if it falls off a building. If I fall off, I'm going to die. So I'm thinking the whole mass is such a big mass that it's flowing so slow that we don't feel it. We're not going to feel that. I mean, imagine if we did. I mean, we wouldn't be here right now, you know? It's just the way I feel about that. And the whole NASA thing about NASA and Jeff Bezos and all them working together, I mean, there's a reason for that. Because if now you would have like some crazy guy named Sonny Conway out there in California building a rocket trying to shoot up to space himself, you know? So you have to have regulations to that, you know? I mean, if everybody with money, we try to make it a rocket and try to shoot it up in space, you know? So there's Ben. What's up, Ben? What's up, dude? Hey, Will's got to go. He's got to put his helmet on and go into the warlock room. I'm here, Mrs.
Yeah, it's. I would say the only thing I would end in saying with that stuff is that a lot of what works on the globe and what works on the flat Earth, either hypothesis, works on both. Right? And what I found is I'm always a big proponent of when conversation takes place, it should come from a place of let's get to the truth. Regardless of our position, of our current truth and understanding, let's seek the truth, and that should be the important thing that emerges. And what I found with flat earthers or globers or however you want to do the debate, they don't understand where each other are coming from. Globers, heliocentric map doesn't explain, doesn't even recognize what a flat earther, how they view the world. A flat earther, because they've seen something that's changed their mind, can't even get back on that level of a heliocentric map. And so they come from two very strongly opposed positions, and the conversation doesn't take place, which should be the important thing. And you bring up a great point, Chad. You have some great questions. Like, well, I would love. There were some I wanted to ask him one question was like, why do I see a sun or a moon directly over my head sometimes if it rotates this way, right? So like, why am I seeing that? But then we got to ask ourselves, why are we seeing the moon at 12 p.m. on a sunny day next to the sun? It don't make no sense to me. And I recognize my own ignorance in that, but I'm like, sometimes,
Yeah. And why are we the only planet that's flat when everything else is round? Mars is round.
Well, he did a great experiment on that.
Everything is Mars.
He did a great
Everything is
experiment
round.
on that, though. It's perception.
If you
It's
believe that the world's on turtles.
yeah, dude, that's a really but he did a great experiment on that, Sonny or Lewis, which is we don't know. It's perception. You hit on this earlier. Our eyes suck so bad that we don't know. And he did a test on us. He put it on a table and he had like 4 pieces of things. He said, identify what's round and what's not. And he started picking these things up, and your eyes immediately, they look round. Everything looks round, but some of them are convex, some of them are not. And it's very strange to realize that what you look at through a telescope versus the images that NASA provides, they're night and day sometimes. And they clean them up. They say they have to make them look better. But they in there have said, and they openly admit, we edit, we Photoshop all of our stuff to make it look better. And that's all I'm saying. I'm just saying that at least what we see isn't what we think we're seeing. And keep going, sorry.
So a question about Cappy. Cappy, your wife said that the Bible said that it talks about, the whole thing, like it states something about
The firmament,
Yes.
the dome covering the flat earth.
So do you believe in the Bible?
Me, myself?
Yeah.
No.
Yes. Okay. So that's another thing. I always looked at it this way. Here's one thing I say. If the Bible is real, why doesn't anybody, or why is it recorded that nobody in the Bible was actually carrying a Bible? It never says about anybody in the Bible carrying a Bible. None of the past people. So I'm really okay. So this was man written in the whole thing. But what you were saying, Will, I understand. That's experiment. But what about those pictures that we see from the space station and stuff? That it shows Earth being round, man. What is that? Is that Photoshop? Is that like some guy on a computer trying to?
No.
Is it Ben? I think it's Ben doing that. Yeah.
Listen,
he's graphic designing. He's graphic designing the Earth for us,
No, and here's the thing, guys. First of all, I'm not the person to talk to you about flat Earth. I am very open
You're
to
a flat
having
earther.
a
Don't lie.
great conversation. No, I'm not. I'm not sold on it. I think what I will say this is if you dedicate 5 hours to hearing the one guy I recommend in particular, and you hear some of the things he brings up, man, he's got some points on a couple of things. You're like, yeah, that's a good point. And there's what's happening on what we just accept as the globe. It doesn't make sense, man. But to your point with that, it goes back to perception again. So from the International Space Station taking a picture of Earth, it's the same idea if you put 4 things down on a piece of paper on a table, and he did this test, and it's a very simple test, and it screws with your eyes. You can't tell. They all look round. But he picks them up, and some of them are round balls. Some of them are just a piece of paper that's flat. Some of them are convex pieces. But from when you were initially looking at it, it's round. Then he does another test where, everything looks different. These tables don't even look like the same size. But he takes another piece of paper, and he puts them on them, and they're the exact same size. It helps identify that our perception is off. In hitting on the International Space Station, we talk about how we can see it and stuff. It's not much bigger. It's not even, I don't think it's any bigger than a football field. Well, the limitation of our eyes, and I forget what it's called, but there's a term for this, a scientific term, like the limitation of which our eyes can see at a certain distance, so like a penny at
60
whatever.
hertz. It's 60 hertz that we can see.
Well, I think hertz is.
It's called by hertz.
I think hertz is volume.
No, I thought. Hold on a second. I was looking it up the other day.
But
I don't
there
remember
is a
what it's called.
distance that where your eyes basically cannot see an object. And I don't know the terms on all this stuff. I'm, whatever here. But the point being, some of the stuff we can see, like the International Space Station, we shouldn't be able to see it. If it's as far out as they're saying, our eyes should not be able to perceive that, because people have talked about this. Like,
I've seen
Ben,
it.
if you're still in here, I've heard people say they've seen it with their own naked eyes.
Well,
And so what he
I've
proposes
sat
is that what he's proposing is that maybe things are a lot closer than we realize. Like, one of the things he hooked me in with is the sun. Like, the idea that, I think it's 93 million light years or something, like whatever the light years is on it. As far as the speed of light, it takes 6 minutes, guys? 6 minutes for the speed of light from the sun to Earth, something like
8 minutes.
that? Is it 8 minutes? Okay, 8 minutes. If you took a flashlight, right, and you shined it in the woods, 100 yards out, what happens as you're shining that beam of light out?
It dilutes
out.
eventually.
Right, it gets wider, right? And I can't remember the exact math on it, but it's like every 100 yards it doubles in width. Okay, so what would the intensity and the brightness of the sun need to be shining in all directions for it to effectively reach the Earth and not absolutely scorch you? What would the dissipation of time, like we joke about all the time on the Ufo Garage, we're like, oh, sun isn't even hot, bro, it's cold because it's cold in space, and we joke about some of this stuff, but it's like, these are
why
kind
isn't
of
there
relevant
any light?
questions.
Why isn't there any light in space? Pretty much.
Well, it has to hit something, right? Like, we understand that. We understand that it has to hit something to reflect it, to project. But, like, the idea that maybe some of these things are a little close, I don't know. I'm just very open to the idea that a lot of what we were taught in life, like, and this started with the whole CIA stuff. We did a lot of deep dives in MK Ultra and a lot of their deep, dark projects. And just from researching all that, it showed me that they have no issues at all, not only killing, messing with, but just certainly twisting our idea of what reality is, that I'm at least open to hearing it. The big why, again, I'm not your guy. That's why I'm trying to bring on this guy. If we can get him on in the UFO Garage, I'd love to get him on, because I'd love some of your guys'
That'd be kind
questions.
of cool, man. You should do that.
I have my own questions, man.
Have you heard the theory that Jim Jones was a MK Ultra subject, and that the U.S. government went in and killed a whole lot of the people at Jonestown? It wasn't just the Kool-Aid.
Only in passing. I've never heard anybody do a deep dive on it, but I had heard of that. And it's weird how the MK Ultra stuff, man. I thought that, it, on the books, died out in 69. I think it was from 46 to 66, something like that. It was 20 years it spanned. And that's when it supposedly officially ended. But it's always like, guys, do you think it really ended? It's like the secret space program stuff, or any of the stuff that they're doing when they're studying these aliens and they end the program. It's like, come on. They bring out the newest plane, the F-17 or the F-16. It's like, that plane's just being retired. When they're bringing out a new plane that can do the newest thing, it's being retired. We had F-16s and F-17s, and Phil would know more about this than myself, but in Vietnam, and we disclosed that in the 90s, like it was the newest, baddest thing we had out there. Bro, they were using it in Vietnam. So it's to me, I think a lot of the stuff you're saying continues on. It's not over.
We're up to like I think we're up to like F-35s now, aren't we?
I have no clue, man. That is a 100% Mark and Phil question. That's what they work on, man. They work on those airlines all the time. They know those suckers inside and out. I believe they even work on military grade, so they can't always talk about exactly what they're working on. But yeah, to me, I'm just a curious guy, and I believe in the truth, no matter what the truth is, and that's something I've always tried to hold to. I've tried to have integrity in whatever I look into and bring forth to people. I don't always say it's the right answer, and if I get it wrong, I'll 100% be like, bro, I'll eat crow on this one. And dude, bringing up flat Earth is like, nobody wants to do that. That's why I've held off even trying to look at it for so long, because I'm so scared that I'll go deep enough that I can't come back.
I know he's gonna be a flat earther.
But at the same time, man, I gotta tell you, it excites me. If the fact that these aliens are actually extraterrestrial or interterrestrial, however you want to put it, and that's why it's so easy for them to appear here. You look up all the maps, and now this is one thing, the thing, Japan and Rome and all these other ones throughout history had these maps, man, that showed these other continents. What were they making that for? They weren't communicating with each other. Was it all just a joke? Were they all just making these fake maps for the fun of it?
NASA's emblem features a flat Earth map.
100% does. So it is. What's the what's the guys that wear the blue hats? They're like here to defend us and like be all good.
UN?
We're supposed to, the UN. Yeah, they have the same exact one. The fact that when we had Operation High Jump, I think it was in 1957, and a lot of this had to do with Admiral Byrd. A lot of you guys probably know his story where he went to Antarctica and was supposed to finish up with whatever, with the Germans going that way. And they encountered this. Supposedly that's when they discovered the firmament, right? This treaty gets put forth right after World War II. We just finished World War II, right? The world's supposed to be at peace. We all come together. We put this treaty in place. This is no one can actually go to Antarctica until 2055. And furthermore, you are not even allowed to question. It is illegal. You can face prison time for questioning why we are not allowed to go. Now, people would argue that and say, well, no, that's not true. There's people definitely in Antarctica. There's people on TikTok showing that they're in Antarctica. Well, apparently in Antarctica, the part that we get to see is a controlled area where you can go and you can hang out, but you can only be with the scientists. You can't go anywhere. Everything's supposed to be so delicate out there.
And go with the scientists to go to Antarctica. Yep.
And to get the licensing, if you try to do it independently, it's anywhere between $250,000 to $1.5 million. And if they don't like you, if they realize you're trying to do it independently and not going through their program, they will cancel your licensing permits that you've been putting in for, and they will keep your money. This is all stuff that's happened to people. There's people out there who've actually had this happen to them. So for me, that's where it at least opens up enough to where I'm like, man, something's up with that. The fact that the CIA runs the Flat Earth Society website, that they got found out about it in 2016, people called them out on it, and they were like, yeah, you got us, dude. It was a joke. We were blah, blah, blah. Now they're still running it to this day. The Flat Earth Society thing right on there says we have members all around the globe, right on the headline.
All around the globe. I was going to say that earlier. Yeah.
And they put up videos constantly that are a joke. Chad, you checked them out, please. I'm rambling so much. Sonny, Lewis, I'm so sorry. I've been rambling so much tonight, guys.
I'm a good listener.
I'm sorry I reeled you back in with the Flat Earth, Willie. I knew that was going to hook you.
Chad, I'm so sorry. What did you find, though? Because you actually went on the website the other night. What did you say you found when you went on there?
Well, actually, I was just on there for a second, and then actually while I was listening to the podcast, and that was when he was like, oh, yeah, that's a government-ran website. We have nothing, and we have no ties to it or anything like that, so I kind of just got off of it. But it's very interesting. That's just a very interesting topic that I feel like I'm so hard-headed that even with him presenting all kinds of evidence, or evidence, verbal evidence, or the stuff that he's showing, I'm still like, there's how many billions of people have lived and died on this planet, and you're telling me that there's just one guy out there screaming like, "Hey, the thing that we're living on is actually flat." It's like you're the only person that's figured that out.
Yeah.
Or the only person that really cares enough to profit off of it and make an app and sell it for $3. And I don't know. It's just really, I don't know.
Who was it that discovered the Earth was round? Who was God, I should know this. We were taught about him in school. The guy with the sticks, and he calculated the circumference of the Earth based on like the sundial.
Galileo. Yep.
Was it Galileo? Okay.
Yes.
And they say the only reason that Galileo was wrong, he believe accurately predicted the circumference of the Earth within like 200 miles. And the reason they think he was wrong is because the distance of the two cities was actually off. But the point being, that actual test right there alone, this is the number one thing I hear most people who are 100% sold on, hey, dude, it's a globe. That test works on a flat Earth, too. When you understand their map and how it actually works and how they view it, it totally works. What's also weird about this is I always thought that we stopped believing in flat Earth, like, back in Galileo's day, right? Like thousands of years ago. Now, there's new evidence showing that this has actually been something that was taught up into the 1900s. Now, I thought it was full of crap until I started finding out. This is what led me down the rabbit hole to realize that the Rockefellers and the other family that we were talking about.
Rothschild.
Yeah, when they took over the education system and they redid the whole program. And you had some people, supposedly David claims that he interviewed some people that were very old that said, yeah, we were in school when they taught that the Earth is flat. And they changed it in about 1908. And then into the early 1900s, in the teens, 1913, 1914, somewhere in there. And you also look what was going on in the world at the time. You had World War I and World War II took place. Those are some pretty troubling things. People didn't have time to sit around and talk about the world is flat, round, or whatever. So I think coming out of that, is it possible, just for the fun of it, could we hypothesize that, now we're making a big leap here, we're pulling some ancient alien crap here. Is it possible?
Is it possible?
That they rerouted the whole education system to where we take away from our, I guess, somewhat kind of God-given whatever ability to sense things in the world and say, no, this is what it is. Because what always bothered me was I didn't understand what made our environment. I could never get it. And I always knew I always felt like I was incredibly stupid, and I might be, but I could never understand what was the thing between me and the space out here. When I'm in a plane and a window gets busted, it'll suck you out of that plane, right? Why am I not getting just sucked into space, bro? All the pressure of space and the gravity. I could never understand, the Van Halen belt or whatever they call it. There's a term for this.
I had it right there, and you said a different one, and I can't remember right now.
It's like supposedly full of radiation and stuff. And they say
and stuff.
Yeah, that too. And there's the different layers, and that's why I want to bring people that this is their bread and butter. This is what they've studied to have this conversation, because I recognize, dude, it's not me. I'm not that guy, but I'm curious about it. Because, like I said, if we are spinning, and Chad, you brought up a great point, that constant motion, I was on board with that until I recognized that makes sense when you're only traveling in one direction. When you're corkscrewing through space like this, you don't have that. So you could never have water that just sits there. I never understood, if you filled the room you're in right now with water, what would the cubical weight of that water be? I don't know what it'd be. Let's just say hundreds, thousands of pounds of water weight. So it would be a lot of gravity to hold it down. At least the way we're taught gravity. But then, you can just lift your hand up, or a butterfly flies by. Why isn't gravity crushing that thing? Well, then we lead in the idea of, gravity, the more the mass, the more the weighs, and blah, blah, blah. And there's a lot I don't understand.
Magnetic fields, there's...
The Van Halen belt. Thank you, Ben. And Ben, being in here, Ben, you actually got me going on this a little bit a long time ago with something you mentioned. You mentioned how the Earth is a whole battery. You mentioned how the sun and the moon and the salt in the water essentially are a battery. If you look at what a battery... Sonny, you guys would know this better than I do, working on vehicles. Yeah. You look what a battery is. The Earth is a battery. And this guy kind of believes that gravity doesn't really exist. It has to do with magnetism. This is another thing that Ben brought up to my attention and proved to me. They made anti-gravity in 1918, I think it was. William Thompson something Brown made anti-gravity, and he started working with the United States. Now you have, what's his name coming out, Wilcox coming out and I made anti-gravity. Bro, they did that in the early 1900s. So this is where you lead in the other idea of the breakaway civilizations that Ben and Joe are always hitting on. Is there that breakaway civilization? How did they get all the gold from California, where Sonny and you guys are at tonight? How'd they get that to New York so quickly? What was the shipment process? You guys would have information on this. How did they do that?
Hot rods.
Pony Express.
Dude, you're right, though, right? Is that literally how they are all the way across the United States?
Train tracks, man. That's where it's supposed to be.
When did we officially complete the tracks,
though?
Wasn't it?
There's some that say boats, too. Ships.
But then you're going around, right? Through Canada
or South America, at that time.
Huh.
Yeah,
no, but the Panama Canal wasn't there.
That was right when the Continental Railroad got finished, so I would assume that's where it went.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
again, guys, listen, I'm not the guy to talk about this stuff. What I am curious about, what I'm always open to, is good conversation. Conversation that challenges us, right? The black swan theory. For when you didn't believe that black swans exist, the guy that didn't believe that set out to disprove his own hypothesis. Well, he thought it was a theory at the time. And he said, tell you what, I believe in my own theory so much, or, it turned out to be a hypothesis, so much that I'm going to set out to prove that only white swans exist. And then in doing that, he discovered black swans exist. So he then disproved his own stance. That's what I love doing with anything I believe. I recognize that today I believe this, tomorrow it could be different with new evidence. And, I don't know. Guys, I've rambled so much. I am William's beard. Dave Scott, just for you.
Dave Scott in the studio.
We'll give a couple of strokes for Dave Scott.
We all tell him that.
Jesus, you guys, I'm gonna regret this so much. This is what happens. I started having some drinks tonight. All had to bring up mother trucking.
Yeah, I see you were at the gym earlier, so I guess you
I was.
It's
so hard keeping up with the gym, but it's worth it. It's worth it. Please, can you guys, someone else talk? Cause God's sake.
Man, you're just so full of knowledge. I like to learn.
Full of malarkey.
You keep going. I like to let you
go,
man. It's good. It's good stuff.
What's up, Dave? He says, I'm Luis Montez's lip blade. That's a good one.
Ben, what's up, guys? I'm sorry I was listening and didn't want to interrupt.
And then Ben's over here talking about I gravitate towards Dave's hair. These guys
Dave's
got
hair
me
is nothing
laughing.
like
I
I
had to
see,
change my name in here just so everyone knows.
yeah, I saw you laughing, Chad. That's why I looked down and I started laughing at the same time. That was
I was trying to
hilarious,
trying to keep a straight face. I couldn't do it.
man.
Dave
I
Scott
couldn't
comes in.
either. Oh man, that is hilarious, man. That is funny.
I like how we went from the hoobra or the what I mean?
Bruja.
Sorry.
Bruja to flat Earth, huh?
Yeah, we've been
Earth.
everywhere. Politics to paranormal.
We did. We talked about taxes. Man,
Taxes.
About your cool
Cover some
helmet and
stuff.
role playing.
So
Ben, oh, go ahead.
go ahead. No. Go,
I was,
Sonny.
gonna say, Ben, I was just asking Ben if he liked my tactics of reeling Willie back in with that flat earther. He tried to get away. I think I got like another 45 minutes out of him already.
Your old lady gonna be mad at you.
Probably. I'm used to it. Like I said, I'm her fourth child. It's a reality. So the magnetic north and magnetic south. Great point on that, Black Dragon. Again, I'm not saying these answers are right, but their answer to that is that there is only one true north. There is no south. South is every direction. And the way we can look that up is there's only been one person who supposedly ever circumnavigated the entire globe heading south. I don't remember their name, but if you look up their flight pattern, it's ridiculous. You've never had anyone actually fly true south and pop up the other side. And the Guinness World Book of whatever records gave this one gentleman the what do you call it, the honors of that. And if you look up his route, it literally goes down, over, back up, and then back here. It'd be the equivalent of running down a one-way street, touching this end and touching that end and saying, "Oh, my street's round." It's very strange. And what's also weird about it is they believe that like north is here so that you can only ever head north or south. There is no east or west. And it's crazy town to hear this bull crap. But when you see it on a map and you see the diagrams, they kind of make sense. And this is where you need like pilots to understand a gyroscope and stuff and how that's utilized with a plane. This is where you need people in those areas that we need that expertise. You know, to be like, you do this for a living. How does it work? Explain it to me, because I'm not out there flying planes around. I don't know.
Or even a compass. A compass does move around with magnetic fields, doesn't it, from north to south?
It only ever points north. So flat earthers believe that we are on a flat continent, an ocean, as it were. The wall, Antarctica, is the highest peak, supposedly, even higher than supposedly, what's the highest one? Mount St. Helens. And then you got in the center, the north. And so if they believe that south is the entire outer side. So you can head north, say west, but eventually you go from going northwest to now you're south again. So
you're
they
saying
this
north
really,
is in the middle. North is always in the middle.
yeah. And they said this really weird thing that like screwed with my mind. They're like, yeah, you only can ever go south on a map with a compass. And I was like, what?
So
And like, well, you can only ever go north or south. I was like,
So
what
Ben
are you talking
said-
about?
Ben said, y'all want to freak out. Y'all want to freak. Y'all should look up. Actually, look. Mass sizes. It's wild.
Thank you. Yeah, guys, for the fun of it, let's just ask the chat. What do you guys think? How many Greenlands can you fit in Africa? So for Sonny and you and Chad, how many Greenlands? You guys know the United States, right? We got massive Greenland up here, and we got little Africa. How many Greenlands could you fit inside of Africa?
Wow, that's this new alternative mass that they're teaching kids nowadays, huh? Alternative math. I don't know, you know.
Man, I don't know. For some reason, I just wanted to say 3, but who knows? I mean,
I'm not gonna Google it and cheat. Somebody's got to say it in the chat.
yeah, I don't want to Google it and cheat.
I don't know. I wouldn't even have a clue. I thought,
Well, you guys know what a map looks like. Like you can picture that in your head, right?
yeah.
Not that you said, you know what a map looks like? Sure, I do.
Yeah.
Well, but I'm saying
That's a big square thing.
Yeah, well, like we've all played like Risk or whatever back in the day. Like that is the map that we kind of all had as kids, and even on the globe map that we had, you know, like whatever, Greenland looks really big. But yeah, it's weird, and there's reasons, there's science behind it, and they talk about how the equator, the further you stretch away from it, they had to stretch it because you can't take a circle and put it out on flat paper. It doesn't make sense. But
Yeah.
I think Chad did get it right. I think it is 3, right? But it's weird because if you look at the actual map, and if anybody can picture that in mind right now, if they can't picture it, it's huge. Greenland looks massive, but it's so tiny. It's so tiny. That's why the United States and South America are actually pretty close in size, but we don't look at it that way. We think South America is so much smaller than us, but they're really actually about the same size, just a slightly different orientation of shape. It's pretty crazy stuff. So, Ben, you're not wrong in saying that. And I get the reason why some of that happened. You know, if you're from Europe at the time and you know more about the locations, you need to make the map bigger because you know more locations within it, so you had to make the map bigger. Plus the density of population was in Europe and America, and so they made it bigger. But what it's led to is a misunderstanding, a misconstruction of our actual true map, and so they're not wrong on that.
I've always wondered, speaking of maps, how different civilizations not even having airplanes or not even having ships or anything, and usually they pretty much have the same map. Like, how do they come up with that? That's just intriguing to me. Like how like somebody in South America or somebody in China could actually have the same kind of similar map when they've never flown or been on a boat or anything, on a ship. I mean, that's how it's just intriguing how they were able to figure that out back in ancient days,
Willie, one thing I wanted to bring up and ask you about before you go to bed an hour ago.
Yeah, I know.
The motive. He brings up the motive would be, to control everyone and keep everyone in the dark or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then he says, if people did wake up tomorrow and everyone believed that the earth was flat, he basically says civilization would crash. He's like, the monetary system would be gone. The federal government would be no more. And then he's like, and I think the world would be a lot better then. And it's like, so you think with zero stability, the world would just be a way better place. And it's like, maybe we all, if the world is flat, maybe we are better off just believing that it's round. Because, I mean, you really want every government to fail, all religion to fail, and you really think that's going to be a better place to live in?
Well, that same argument could be applied to aliens, right? Like, how would you relate it back to that?
Oh, if aliens were to, you mean? Well, aliens...
That's always been the argument, right? Oh, God forbid they come out and the religions will freak and blah, blah, blah. But I feel like, do you feel like that's kind of the same sentiment, or is it different?
I don't know. It seems like today it would be different because, I mean, all the news stations are just coming right out and saying, hey, the government's admitting aliens are real. Everything that you've heard growing up about aliens is wrong, and UFOs are actually flying, and we can't catch up to them. We can't control them or talk to them. Mm-hmm. And nobody is really freaked out. They're still on TikTok showing their asses. So
100%.
Nobody's really making a huge deal out of that. So I don't know.
I do get what you're saying, though, and I think what I disagree with him a little bit is he's pretty brash, and I think what we have to recognize is he's doing 5 or 6 podcasts a day or whatever. Like, the guy deals with a lot of people that, like, for him, he's sold on this, he believes it, so I think he's very... he doesn't have maybe that soft touch. Yeah, he's like, but I am inclined a little bit to believe what he's saying, and if I could defend it a little bit, what I mean by that is the idea with let's relate it to aliens versus flat Earth, okay? Since we're more comfortable with aliens, guys. So if aliens are real, and I personally, I don't think I'm in the trying to believe or prove it to myself anymore. I'm more in the, like, why are we not just dealing with this like adults at this point kind of stance. I don't think that us continuing to live in this fake world, Truman as he did, living in the Truman Show, right? Once you find out, once you know there's this wall, whatever's on the other side of that wall, whether it's aliens or whether it's flat or whatever the truth is, when you know there's truth on the other side, you're presented with a moment as an individual to either accept that truth, seek it further, and incorporate it in your life, or go back into the delusion. But now it's a willful delusion versus you were tricked. And so I don't think he's completely, I think the way his verbiage is using isn't great, but I don't think he's wrong in saying that the truth should be the truth regardless of your religion, your political spectrum, any of that. And if we are living in this giant just joke, I don't know. It kind of does feel like that's right. And again, maybe you got a good position in life. I'm not saying it's bad, and I'm not saying like life's bad for me, but man, sometimes this working thing sucks, bro. Like, I don't like working the 60 hours, you know. And right now, stuff's a little different for me. I got laid off and stuff, but like, there was a while there, man. I remember a couple years where I averaged 60 plus hours a week. You know,
how long have we been doing that for, though? It hasn't been that long since people didn't have to go to work every day to provide. It was just live your life, and that was it.
Yep, hunt and gather.
Yep. One last quick thing. I'm so sorry to pop this in there, but Africa's 14 times bigger than Greenland, by the way. So 14, roughly, could fit into Greenland.
Wow.
To put it in perspective. It's weird. So anyway, sorry, that's like flat Earth crap again. But the point being, you are so right on that, Cap, because it's the idea that we have bought into this. We're just told, well, imagine if we didn't have this. What would it be if we didn't have to pay taxes? Or where would this come from? Or where would that come from? And it's like, man, I think if we just learn to connect with the originality of what a human being is supposed to experience here, and this is just my personal opinion. I'm not telling anybody to feel this, but like, whatever it is you're supposed to experience here is an energy, a soul, whatever term you want to use. Man, was this really it? Like, look at your life where you're at right now. And I'm saying this for myself. Is this the extent, if all of a sudden I die and I realize that this was my shot to go and experience this, man, did I experience it the way I really wanted to?
I feel you on that, yeah.
And I feel like everybody feels this way, and it's just not talked about because it's not acceptable because of the educational system. And it's gotten worse, ramped up with college, which makes you an absolute indentured slave. It is the one thing you cannot break free of when you claim bankruptcy. You can get rid of everything else but your college debt. And now I'm not one of those guys who's like, oh, just pay it all off or whatever. But the idea that you're taking someone who's 18 years old, locking him into a lifelong debt that's just a racketeering market at this point, and then saying you are held to that accountability for the rest of your life. We don't even make adult decisions till we're 27, 30. I don't think I'm making adult decisions now, and I just turned 30 or whatever. You know what I mean? This stuff bothers me. I feel like we've got some of this wrong, and because of the way that you look, like I said, 3 generations ago, we don't even remember it. 3-4 generations back, early 1900s. It's just reality at this point. But what if it wasn't? What if what America was when it was the great, expanse and all that was going on? And I know there's a lot of dark history with the United States, and I don't deny any of that, but I don't think that this was the way we were supposed to experience life, and I think this is what leads to more people just dying of heart attacks. You look at how many people died of just heart attacks in the great industrial boom, partly because of health and medicine and stuff, but also because, man, they didn't have a work, like, you just worked to death. There was no standard work week.
Screw your break. Back then, you didn't have breaks, you worked your 12 hours straight.
And what's weird, like, I don't know how it is for you guys, but I know I was at a place, we had to work 50, 55 hours a week, and if you didn't hit your 50, guys were ragging on you for being a part-timer. People made you feel bad for not being there to be with your family and stuff. And again, everybody do their own thing, but it's weird. There's a weird thing to it.
They call it being a team player at the railroad.
Yeah.
Got to be a team player.
Whose team are you building? We're out there working on... sometimes you're doing a job that's a 2-3 day job. They quoted this job and sold it for $30,000-$40,000. What are you making in the pinch of that?
Nothing.
It's just
you're just a number, man. Once you pass away, they got another number ready to come in. It's just
Chad,
the way it works.
Going back to your original point, man, I've been so long-winded tonight. God's sake. Your original question about him, about the system, I do think there's a problem with the system. I think he has a bad way of wording it, but I don't think that the system we're living in is good. I think there's better, and we should strive for that. I understand that we can't maybe end it overnight, because again, like I said, any extreme thing, even though I can get extreme myself sometimes, doesn't always generally bode well. You need balance in that change. But I think whether in relation to aliens, or man, like, what broke my heart, why I've never wanted to look at flat Earth? Bro, I love space so much. I was such a space nerd. Like, I would just look at pictures of different constellations as a kid, and like,
me too.
I just love space.
I'm not willing to give that up yet. So
exactly,
I'm still on around Earth.
Exactly, and I just couldn't do it. But the only reason he slightly gave me hope is he said, "What is out there?" It's like another thing. How they're always pushing the green, the like how global warming, and I'm not trying to get into all that, but why do they putting all that responsibility on you as the individual. And I understand each one of us accumulated have a result on the planet. I totally get that. But you're going to tell me that when we all get together and we may take an action to do something better, yet you're out there as a massive corporation just virtually raping the earth, and you think your effect isn't more damaging than me not recycling, which, like, we recycle, but as a freaking joke here, they didn't know how to do it properly in the beginning. They got it all wrong for 2 years. They didn't know how to get it back to China. China wouldn't accept anymore because it wasn't done properly. We had to bury it in a landfill out here. The whole program got wiped and redone. We had 2 years of that crap. People were freaking out. I remember I got cussed out for bringing paper or styrofoam plates and a styrofoam cup to a party. The people were taking it so serious here for a while, and yet, again, the corporations are not following this. It leads you sometimes, what I'm saying is that when they put it on you and I about how the world's going to end tomorrow because of global warming and all this stuff, but then you see what they're doing, their actions speak louder than their words, it's kind of like they know maybe there is more resources. And they're just this fear-mongering. And that's the only reason sometimes it makes me wonder, what if those old Japanese maps and those ancient Sumerian maps that show all these other continents out there, what if that is real? That's so exciting if that's a reality, if there are these other places. I don't know, it's just at least curious to me. Like the inner Earth stuff, like what Admiral Byrd experienced, I believe in that stuff. Dude, the deepest we've ever gone, what do you say, 7 miles, Chad? Is that right?
8 miles, I think.
Guys, I'll be right back. All right, I'm going to step out for a minute.
No problem. 8 miles down is the deepest we've ever gone in our core's
That's crazy.
crust. Yeah, I believe they call it the devil or the boar's den or something. It was in Russia. They got every step of the way wrong. They said it'd be the equivalent of not even going halfway through the skin on an apple,
Right.
and then telling us that we know exactly what's in the center of the earth. But I mean, we can't put it into like context, I feel sometimes. So
Yeah, we can't say there ain't other what is that called? Other worlds inside the earth because we've never been there.
dude, how have we not chased every single person in the chat away right now with the crap?
That's one thing my wife has always said is she goes, I can't understand how much pressure people put on space when we haven't even discovered the depths of our ocean yet. There's so much of our ocean that is left we don't know anything about it. And that's most of our Earth, but
yeah, I think they say we've explored like 2.5 to 3% of the world's oceans.
exactly. And
We need to start doing that. It's kind of like I don't know who I told the other day or yesterday. I think it was you, Will, about the guy that told me about the DMT, and he was gone for like so many minutes. And when he came back, he said he told his friends that he was gone for a whole month, and he was living in an underwater world here on Earth for like a month, and he had like a family and kids and all that. But he was only there for a month, but he had a whole life there when he came back from the DMT trip. He actually came back and he remembered all that, but he was only gone for like 10, 20 minutes.
I've definitely heard that before.
Yeah. So we never know. There's underground, worlds out there that we don't know about. For him to actually take DMT, because a lot of people say when they take DMT, they actually see aliens and they see.
have any of you guys taken DMT?
Never have. I don't want to, bro.
I'd be open to it. I'm not gonna lie. I would have never said that even 2 years ago, but I look at the relationship of the CIA and what Ronald Reagan did and waging the war on drugs, and you look at that process and what they were getting, Woodstock stuff, what it was leading up to. It was a consciousness shifting on a mass scale, and I shut that crap down. And I think there's something to it. It's natural. It's part of the earth. It's
nowadays. It's just finding something that actually works. Like you can't trust.
I would be open though to your question originally.
I mean, I ain't gonna lie. When I was younger, I tripped on LSD, and I actually remember driving stupid, young teenagers driving, and every little stop sign. You ever seen the Flintstones? The little alien, I forgot his name, the little green alien. He would be at every stop sign waving at me like, hey, and I'm like, this guy's following me around, man. And then I would stop. And he'd just sit there looking at me, and like you would pull over, like, and the trees around wouldn't move, but inside it would be circulating. Everything was circulating, and you can hear everything amplified. So the DMT, I mean, it probably would be cool, man. What if I end up and I know that I have a family somewhere else like that guy, I mean, it's just crazy.
Rogan sure sells the hell out of it.
Rogan does?
He was kind of what got me open to the idea. Him and Duncan Trussell, Duncan
Oh, yeah,
Trussell's
for
done
sure.
some amazing work on the idea of helping people with microdosing of that and mental health awareness. So, but Cap, it sounds like you may or may not have had an experience. So, I mean, what is?
I'm
Yeah,
supposed to take acid for the first time tomorrow. I've eaten mushrooms and I've never done DMT, but I don't know. A few of my friends have, and they've told me stories. Like one guy, even looking online, a lot of the stories I hear, you meet beings that tell you about yourself and tell you about your existence. And one of the guys that I know that has taken it said that he took it a bunch. Like he took it, loved it, and then like 3 or 4 more times after that, within like a short period, maybe a month, did it again. And then by the end, the beings told him, "Why are you still here? You know everything you need to know. Don't come here again, otherwise you're gonna lose it." Like,
Wow.
I don't know, but
That's I've done that a couple of times.
it all goes back to what you guys were saying, that there's so much more than we can see with our eye. Our eye only preserve. I think it's like what 18 to 22% of the
Reality.
electro fields or whatever, however, I don't know the science between how we see. I know the image in reverse and all that, but through our brainwaves, but there's only a small fragment of what we can see. And I don't know. I'm going to take acid tomorrow. I'm going to see what I'm going to see. I don't know.
Join us tomorrow for another episode.
Right?
You know, it'd be kind of cool if you had like a GoPro on and you don't even know you had it the whole time, so we can see the experience.
But it wouldn't even be the same though. Like it would, like
You'd be
use
like,
that
wow,
third eye GoPro.
did you see the
The
size of
third
that
eye
chicken?
GoPro. Oh
Next
man.
gen.
So that brings me back to the original point we had in the beginning of the show, which was Lewis. You were hitting on it about how we only see 2 or 3% of the total light spectrums that exist or whatever, and how we don't see that or whatever. I would almost be willing to argue a slight bit that I think we've just tuned it out. Because those people that are psychic, those people that have that connection, that seem to see things on the other side, I always put it back to, like, you had children, so you know. Like, if you've raised any children in your life, those babies have some experiences that will mess with you as an adult. Like, you will question, at least I've had, where it made me re-question what was going on. And I think that we just, through the process of when we bring it up to mommy or daddy or whoever in our life and go, oh, that's not real, that's just your imagination. I think we as human beings condition ourselves to just not see that, to fit in. I don't know what it is about. They said that's why we've survived for so long, is because humans adapt so quickly.
Well, that's interesting you say that, because you ever look at something and it'd be like, it looks like a face. It's just something, but it's not a face. It's because when we, back in the days, when we were like, before we were civilized and everything, for us to survive, we were always looking for things that were trying to hunt us down. Everything that was trying to kill us had a face. A lion or freaking bear or something. Go ahead, Chad.
I was just thinking, that happened to me the other day where something was sitting on the floor that just wasn't there before. And I walked by it and instantly thought it was like a spider or something. It was just like a fight or flight response just went off. And all it was just like a piece of fuzz or something, but it's like, whoa, it's like a chemical reaction. Just something's there that wasn't there before. And what is that?
Our survival instincts has that. Like, we'll see something and think it's something. It's already programmed into our brain. You know what I'm saying? Like,
we have no control.
Like, sometimes
over
I'll look and I'll be like, if you look at something or like a cloud, it looks like a face. Or you look in the corner, you'll see like a shadow, it looks like a face, or looks like something. It's because that's how we survived. We were always looking for danger, so it was always there. We always saw that, And it's kind of crazy to me that, we evolved now. We kind of lost that now, but it's still in our DNA.
It's still in there. Yeah,
it's still in there. It's still in there. And like, there's go ahead.
No, I was just saying, if people want to look that up, it's like you're listening, you're like, these guys, right? But if you made it this first of all, shout out, bro. You're partying hard. If you've gone with us for however long, we're going 2 hours and 42 minutes we're going here, bro.
You're in trouble.
Speaking of that, guys, we got about 18 minutes left.
Heck yeah.
Ben
But I was
brings
just...
I was going to say, Ben's comment right there, there's a small amount of DMT in our urine, and there's a 45% in the urine of people with schizophrenia.
Damn, I need to go drink my pee then.
There's DMT and everything like bark and roots and all this stuff. It's in everything. And it goes back, well, really quick though, epigenetics. Ben's always hitting on this. Ben, you're so good at talking about epigenetics. I would murder it, but people can look it up. Epigenetics, it's amazing. It's the idea of what you guys are talking about, that there's these hidden, unlocked DNA actions built into us from our ancestors. It's amazing to me how, like, okay, I didn't meet my biological father until I was 19. I thought you just speak, sound, and act like your parents because you grew up around them and that's what you've seen and that's how you sound. I met him, and it was the strangest thing ever. First time I talked to him on the phone, because it was like hearing myself. We sounded the same. I met my family. We had the same mannerisms. Never had met in our life. And that was just, crazy. Isn't that weird? So what I'm hitting at is that the idea that everything your ancestors have ever been, that whole idea of like calling on your ancestors, and the Asian culture is much more prominent with this calling on their ancestors in relation to that. But like Samantha Mowat even hits on that, talking about the idea of that if you're dealing with something and you maybe reach out to them and ask for help. And I don't know about you guys, it sounds weird to say, and I know it sounds crazy to say, I always felt like my people who had passed on, grandparents and stuff, I always felt like people were watching me as a small kid. I always felt like, dude, I'm telling you. There's something there.
Yeah, especially when you were younger and you were doing stuff to yourself that you were supposed to do.
Not so much then. No. I just blocked it out. By that point, I was blocked out. I'm talking like when I was just out, like before that stage started. You know, when you're like 9 or 10, you're just like out in the woods. Like I felt like they were there.
Funny you say that about parents and the whole DNA thing. Sorry, I just had to be funny. But
no, it's funny.
My dad looking over your shoulder, be like, "Dang it, Grandpa, what are you doing here?" Well, like, no, he's, but he had passed already. But the thing is, like, I remember my dad. I only met him when I was younger. I really didn't know him that way. And he passed away. I only saw him, in his deathbed when he was already, dying. And I didn't even get to talk to him. And then I met my family like recently, like about this year. They moved to Florida, and I met my aunt. And when I went up and I was talking and the way I was acting and the way I am, animated, she's like, "You just like your father. You are just him all the way." And I'm like, "Wow, that's crazy." It's just like you mentioned, like it's in your DNA. You are who you are because, it doesn't matter who you're raised by. It's like a person. That's why it's. You adopt a child, you don't know what that child's going to be like, you know what I'm saying? Because you might have that child and try to raise him the right way, but he might still be a serial killer or an evil person because of the DNA, It's just...
I'm adopted, and I met my dad, I actually never met him. I talked to him on the phone maybe 5 years ago, and I met he passed away, and then I met his wife that he married. And I am way more like him than I am my adopted parents.
Wow.
It's so interesting.
It is. I mean, go ahead.
I was just saying, it's so funny that like that innate ability that's built into us, obviously, to reproduce anyways, just to keep your species going. But you literally are everything that your ancestors, anything that they've ever been. You are the total sum of that right now.
I was just going to say that.
Oh, man, like that should
How many people have had to live and survive just for you to sit where you're sitting right now and have this conversation? It's unbelievable. Lots and lots and lots of people.
I mean, and if you really get connected, we're all connected. The whole earth is connected to we are the earth. We are everything. Like if you look at I don't know what it's called right now. I'm a little tired because I only slept a couple hours. I worked so hard yesterday. The capillaries of your lungs, I think it's called. It's kind of like a tree root, your veins, the river running down a mountain, everything is connected. Like if you look, I'll look it up and I'll send it to you guys one day, but we are all connected, and then everything is connected. DNA, humanity, everything, we're just, everybody's connected to everything. That's why I say, you're my brother. Everybody's my brother. I don't believe in hate. I don't believe in racism. I just think that we're all connected.
It's all quantum physics and it's all shaking.
Yep.
Dude, you guys ever see that bit that I put on the Ufo Garage thing about the guy? He's just like a 30-second bit, but he's talking about how like we're all these particles that just vibrate, right? Like everything. These are particles that are vibrating. Yeah, and he was like, but I can't put my hand through it. Like what?
I can see that. Yeah.
But yeah, there's just, I think That's what bothers me with the UFO stuff, even paranormal, any of it. When they're like, "Oh, the science is settled," or "The science doesn't back that up yet," and it's like, maybe we just don't, dude. Maybe we just don't understand it yet. We just need to appreciate it for what it is and just try and learn. That'd be like the only thing I could say with the phenomenon. They keep trying to put it like, "Well, it defies the laws of physics and blah blah." I'm like, who cares?
We just don't
Everything is
understand.
not science. There's other things out there besides science, you know. There's spirituality. There's everything out there that we don't know. I mean, if you look at the Native Americans, you know, they didn't believe in science, you know. Ancestors, they were, I mean, yeah, there was some science, but people back in the Egyptian days, there was no science, you know. I don't believe that. I mean, maybe there was. You never know.
I think they had scientists, actually. I think. I could be wrong, but I think they had legit, like, actual scientists.
But not like now, like, you know, like now that you have to believe in the science. You know, back then it was probably more like the fundamentals of science. You know.
Yeah.
Really, that kind of reminds me of Lazar when he was talking about dropping a motorcycle in the middle of like the medieval times, and you know, they'd look at it and they'd eventually try to figure out how it works, and they'd kind of figure out how it works, but they'd never have any idea if it broke how to replicate any of the parts or the plastics or anything like that.
Yeah, like once the gasoline ran out. I remember him talking about it. He's like, even if they got it running, he's like, once the gasoline runs out, then what?
Or he was talking about that nuclear the reactor, how people would walk into the room, instantly die.
Yep.
More scientists would come in, instantly die when they came into the room. It's just like, holy, like how much stuff do we think we know, but we have zero idea about?
And the only thing that's ever caught my attention, again, people, haters out there, whatever, listen, we're just all trying to experience this, okay? But the Bob Lazar thing, man, what's so fascinating about those crafts that they found, 13 of them, I think it was, they were archaeological digs. They found those here. They didn't crash or come from somewhere else. They dug those up from here. So either that hints at the idea that Graham Hancock and some of those guys are right, that we're a species with amnesia, and we've done this many, many, many times. And it's just that's something that a past civilization had. Or, man, the Earth's flat, and those guys are coming from... I'm just kidding. All right, I'm going to stop. Leave it alone.
No, they found like a residue of like nuclear weapons being used in the ancient Indian days. I don't know if you guys heard about that. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, where they found it in the ground, where there's like glass particles that can only be there from a nuclear reaction.
Yeah. So I mean, I think like technology or how do you say that? Repeats itself, and we don't know it. You know, that's probably what happened with the Egyptians. Maybe something happened and they were wiped out. You never know.
Right. And like, look how advanced. I'm sorry, I keep cutting you off, Lewis. I'm so
sorry.
Go
ahead, man. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, look how advanced. Oh, my uncle and I used to get drunk with him and talk about this all the time. I was like, dude, I was like, dude, look how advanced we've gotten since just the 1900 to 2000. Like leaps and bounds of technology.
Insane.
And now,
Fiber
past
optics,
30 years. But it's like, extrapolate that. What if somehow we could go 500 years without destroying ourselves? Where would we be? You know, what level could we reach? Do we know? Did that already happen?
Well,
and it just got wiped out, or they left? You know.
Well, look at speaking about that without killing each other or wiping ourselves out. Like, I know you watched that show Childhood's End. Did you guys ever watch that?
No, that's the one that Ben and Joe recommended, right? I haven't.
Okay, I'm no spoiler alerts then. Okay,
I'll write it down right now.
It leads into that, like, you know what I'm saying? We don't destroy ourselves. I'm not going to tell you what happens, but then you'll just watch it. We'll talk about it some other time. But
Nice.
I was going to say earlier, too, shout out to all the ancient people and my ancestors that ate plants, and I know what to eat now and what to smoke, because think about it. You know how many people died? This guy's like, damn, that's a cool looking mushroom, man. I want to eat it. And he thought, he's like, well, damn, I guess it's not going to be available, so I'm going to, that's, mushrooms and plants, everybody, they're like, here, try this out. Okay, he's dead. I'm like, well, I'm not eating that again. Imagine the first person to smoke weed, man. I bet you he was tripping out.
It's like, whoa.
He's kind of like, hell yeah,
I forgot what I was doing, man.
Dude, if you subscribe
Santa
to
Claus is real.
If you subscribe to someone like Joe Rogan was saying, they think that that's the reason psychedelics is the reason that we evolved from the previous state of humanity, well, of like apes, as it were, whatever the broken up line is they were eating that, and it helped them imagine, and it just opened up their minds, it expanded their brains.
I just thought about this, and I was reading this article the other day. about cavemen. Cavemen used to party hard. They actually,
Hard.
they used to, no, hard. Cavemen actually used to have raves, man. They used to take these psychedelics and they would all gather around like and just party and dance and like push each other around. I don't know how. I gotta find that article, man. But the article was about cavemen. It was like a rave. Cavemen used to like take psychedelics and dance and for like days, and some they would like die because they would just keep dancing and fall off. I mean, I was reading. I don't know how true the article was, but man, shout out to them people.
Were they in vans down by the river going hard? Is that where it was?
Yeah.
Big Willie, speaking of vans down by the river, what do you got going on tomorrow on your show?
Oh, yes. Yeah, so
yeah.
Tomorrow, I had to actually update it a little bit, guys. I had to actually talk to her. So Jess Rogue with the Rogue report from the Fringe FM, she'll be coming on and hanging out with me. And she actually, this is what she focuses on. She's an actual reporter that works in, the God forbid mainstream media. And this is something she's hitting on. She wants to deal with the idea of how do we trust and sort through media anymore because of what it's become. And she's not as big into the UFO stuff, even though that's something she hits on in the paranormal. She's more about, again, just the truth and some of the things that are considered the conspiracies, but that are real things like MK Ultra, Paperclip, Project Paperclip, Project Mockingbird, and some other ones. So we're going to hang out for just a little bit and chit chat with her, and she'll be open to any questions you guys have. It's going to be a good time. And you guys will get to hear her voice. Like, dude, she has like a solid radio voice.
She has a voice
sure.
of an angel. A voice of an angel.
You'll see. You'll see.
I'll tune in tomorrow. I'll get to see it from the drag races. I checked last night when I dropped off the last trailer, and I have we had no signal out there before. Now I got full bars of 5G. So,
Oh man.
Are you gonna be racing tomorrow yourself?
I'm
In the comment?
no, the comment's not out there. I'm not in a race.
Oh, man.
Ah.
I can see you in your race car with the little freaking YouTube playing while you're racing down the racetrack.
You don't have time for nothing but
Hey,
your grabbing that comment.
Hey, Cappy, I like to hear from you some other time after you
For sure,
visit
bro.
the gods after you pop that little piece of paper tomorrow.
This is awesome.
Right,
We definitely have to hear about that.
Hey,
I'm
have
excited,
somebody-
man. I think it's gonna be cool.
Hey, have somebody do this, and you're gonna love it. Whoa, man! You'll have you'll see. You see that? It'd be like,
Dude, I hope it's good. 'Cause I'll tell you this. My wife, we in Fresno. We have these things called smoke sessions, and it's like a farmer's market, but for weed dealers.
That's
And
awesome.
there was a guy there selling mushrooms, and my wife had never taken them. And I've taken quite a bit of mushrooms, but she wanted to, and she tells him and he was from Oakland where it's legal, and she goes, I've never taken them before.
There's mushrooms.
And he goes, oh, I got some, you won't trip, but you'll laugh a lot. And she goes, no, I want to trip. And he goes, okay. And so he sold us an eighth of mushrooms. We split it between the both of us. And I told her, I go, you know what, we'll laugh a lot, but it's not going to be that intense. Shit. We both tripped balls for like 5 hours. And this is one thing that leads me to believe that there is something more to it, is every time I've done that hallucinogen, that's the only hallucinogen I've ever done, I come out of the other side of it feeling like I've shed something, like I feel cleaner, like I've realized about myself and the world. And I don't know if that's just the feeling of coming down off hallucinogens or if it means something, but oh man, it was intense, and she never wants to do them again.
That is a natural hallucinogenic. Acid is totally different, bro. I remember this girl. She was sitting there and she started singing strawberry shortcake. Berry this or is berry that? Are you berry skinny? Are you berry fat? And she actually turned into strawberry shortcake. And I'm like, keep singing it. Come on. I want you to sing it. She was like, I don't want to sing anymore. For a whole hour, she looked like strawberry shortcake. You'll see some stuff, man. I mean, I've seen some crazy stuff, man. That's why I say when you do this, it looks like I got like 12 arms, and it's freaking awesome, man. Don't walk through the grass though, because it feels like bugs are coming up your legs. I mean, just heads up. But I'd like to hear from you in a couple of weeks about that experience, man, for real. That'd be kind of
Heck
cool.
yeah.
We'll have him back on. We'll have him back on.
And we're
Yeah,
gonna have
it
to ship Willy
This
some
was a good one,
DMT.
man. It's already been almost
I'm
3
down.
hours.
He's gonna wear them. What are those?
I'm down.
Spaced out radio panties that he has over there.
Oh god. Dude, when
Spaced
Ben
out
sent
radio.
those and those showed up. Speaking of Space Roto, yeah, we got to get out of here because he's getting ready to start. But
Yep.
dude,
Yeah.
Yes,
Ben,
sir.
can we please get some boxer briefs or dude? Those are legit 100% lacy panties, bro. 100%. Not even gonna lie, my wife put them on the other night. I don't know how I felt about
All
it.
right, guys.
Oh man, get your helmet. Get your helmet.
Get them
man.
horns up, boys.
Right.
Yeah, this was cool, guys. Man,
Hey.
we're gonna have to let go because
Yeah, and Chad,
on, you know.
what's going on with Dave's show next? What are we
Dave
tuning
tonight
in for?
has
You know?
our Keith Andrews on tonight, so we're gonna really bring on the woo.
The alien
Right on.
connection.
Yeah,
The
woo.
Yeah, he's
alien
gonna get
connection.
that Woo train rolling right now, guys,
That's
in
right.
about 1 minute. But thanks everyone for tuning in, man. Thank you guys for coming on. You guys are awesome. Big Willie, you know,
Paranormal
Captain
Chop
Davis
Shop.
show. And Chad, man,
Now you don't believe in Santa,
looking
so you
good,
don't get no more
sounding good with that
presents.
microphone. You
Appreciate
two
it.
look
I'm glad.
perfect
I'm glad
tonight.
everything's
No
working out.
glitches.
Yeah,
Yeah, hey,
we
Cappy, man, it was a pleasure meeting you, brother. You know,
Hey, it
you
was a
come
pleasure
by
meeting all you
anytime.
guys, man.
Peace.
Good
Come by
meeting you, Cappy.
anytime, man. Anytime, okay?
And we'll get Cap to come back on and let us know what happens.
absolutely.
Heck yeah, I'm down.
See if he can find. We'll see if he can find Gazoo from the Flintstones for you, man.
Hopefully he doesn't end up like Smokey in a chicken coop.
Oh, my mama can get me out.
Smokey, what you doing in there, Smokey?
That's why I'd be like, "Fuck Hector."
Well, thank you guys for coming to Paranormal Chop Shop, man. It was great. You know, till next time, you know, next Friday. We'll see you tomorrow, and we'll see you later on Chad Smith on Space Out Radio.
I'll be
All
there.
All right,
We'll see
tune
you
in
guys
right
soon.
now,
Buddy.
guys.
Take care,
Peace.
brother.
Later,
Peace.
guys.
Lewis, peace out.
Peace out.
Horns up. All right, man. Lewis, we killed it on this one, man. This was a good one.
Yeah,
we got to
man.
sign off right now though, because Dave's starting up.
Yeah. All right, brother.
Okay, man. I'll talk to you soon.
All
Talk
right,
to you
brother.
tomorrow or something. I'll call you from the races.
All
All right,
you
bro.
gotta do that, man.
Horns
Later.
up. That
All right,
Woo
Captain.
train
Good
rolling
luck tomorrow.
All right. All right. Thanks again, guys. I'm gonna be signing out. Everyone, go tune in to Dave's show at SOR Spaced Out Radio. Man, it's gonna be a good one. I'm going there right now.